Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I am Crispy and today we are doing something a little bit different. We are on a Slumber Island and I decided to start a Rainbow Island series but on Slumber Islands, and so I'm starting with red, and so we're gonna do a bug themed rainbow series. So I named this small Slumber Island ladybug. We're gonna do a ladybug theme for red. I also have some red dragonflies. I want to throw those into the mix, but yeah, I have just been really inspired by the Rainbow Islands that have been started by Kaylee Games and JoJo Crosses and April Honey. So I thought that instead of starting a brand new island, which I didn't really have time for, that I would just do something a little bit more manageable for me right now and do some Slumber Islands. So we're going to start with red and we'll see how it goes. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that I did was I started at the entrance and I started laying down a path. I wanted there to be this circular feature with something in the center, and I did look at a lot of different Pinterest posts for inspiration, and so I decided to put one of the Keroppi bridges in the center and put some bushes around it. I didn't even show my codes yet, I don't think, in this introduction or anything, but I did struggle with finding codes that would match ladybugs. I also struggled finding codes that were just, you know, all red. There's not a lot of red codes out there. I mean, I guess there are, but not codes that are like conducive to this theme, I guess you could say. I looked for a ladybug path, I could not find one. I looked for a bug path, I could not find one. And so I settled on this green and stone mushroom path because, you know, I do love my mushrooms. It is my thing. And so I did put a lot of mush items on this island. And now you can see the circular design of like pathing. I thought it was really cute. And I did a mixture of the hibiscus bushes and then just a regular green bush that was not in bloom. And I did get this ladybug code off of Pinterest that I just absolutely love. It is by Designs by Caleb from Instagram, and you use the circle cushion and customize it to look like a ladybug, and I think it's just adorable. I love this theme. And I love ladybugs, but there are not a lot of ladybug codes out there. So there's also not a lot of ladybug items in the game. There's the ladybug model, and there is a ladybug umbrella, and then I think a ladybug rug for your house, which I didn't even use because you can't use rugs outside. So I did not use that one, but I did have a few ladybugs that I found that were just custom codes, and so I sprinkled those around like on the beach. I was also struggling with whether or not to do green leaf piles or red leaf piles, but I decided to go with red. I think that was a suggestion by my good friend JoJo Crosses because I was hanging out in Discord with her while I was doing this, and it actually went a lot faster than I thought it would. I was not sure at first if it was very ladybug or very red, but I think it does have a lot of red in this island and these codes, and so I think hopefully I put enough red around. But I did use apple trees, and I did bring in some of the ladybug umbrellas and put them in place of some of the bushes, and I did like that better, and I thought that it made more sense for the theme. So I tried to put as many ladybug models and red dragonfly models around as I possibly could. But codes were definitely hard to find. I definitely feel for the people who have done or are doing Rainbow Islands, because red was hard. There was this rose path, and I did use it for like underneath mush parasols or some of the large mush platforms, but I didn't want a rose path for my main path. I really wanted to do more of a ladybug theme, and I just didn't know if roses screamed ladybugs, you know? So I did not end up using that as my main path, and I also wasn't sure if I was going to use a mixture of different trees, like cedar trees and apple trees, but I decided to take the cedar trees out and just focus mainly on the apple trees with a few like large hardwood trees in the mix. And so I did struggle with finding codes. I grabbed this green mushroom path that I had used on my Forever Island, and it does have a lot of red in it, but it also has a lot of green in it. So I think as long as it has some red, that it counts. But I will show all of the custom codes at the end in case anyone wants to see, and I've tried to write them down so that if you need any of them, then you can find them. But they were definitely hard to find, and I didn't actually use all of the custom codes that I found. I ended up not using as many custom codes as I thought that I would, but I was just trying to layer my apple trees and my mushroom items and then my flowers and bushes, and I decided to move the mush parasol closer to the beach. I'm not sure why. I could not tell you why, but that is just what I decided to do. Sometimes I don't even know what goes through my brain when I'm moving items around and switching them out, because when I'm watching myself in editing, I am like, that was actually fine. You could have left that there, Crispy, but whatever. I'm just really picky with the items that I put down, and sometimes I just make these split decisions that are just, no, I don't like that. I'm changing that. But I do like decorating on Slumber Islands. It does have pros and cons though. So one con is definitely that I keep getting the buttons wrong, because it's like opposite from what you have on your main island. And so I wish that they would have made the buttons closer to what we have in the game when we're terraforming and doing custom codes and stuff on the ground, because I am constantly hitting the wrong buttons. And then when I do Slumber Islands for a while, then I have this muscle memory of doing the same buttons on as you do on a Slumber Island on my main island, which is wrong. And so that part is frustrating. I wish they would not have changed the controls, but other than that, it is really nice just to be able to decorate kind of like HHP, where you just have your whole catalog and you can have all of that unlimited. You don't have to worry about your pockets being over full. But I was just terraforming this cliff in the back so that I could put my house on it and make some waterfalls, and so that is what I'm doing right now. But another con is that we cannot save the dream address or the Slumber Island code or whatever with other people so that they could come visit when we're not online. like dream addresses. So I wish there was something like that. I know other people have said that before. I agree with them. At least I can video like building on a slumber island and show the video and have that as a memory. But if I'm going to do all the colors in the rainbow, I am going to have to delete some, which is very sad. And so I wish there was a way that we could save them and people could go and look for themselves, because you don't always want people on your slumber island while you're decorating, because you know you might not trust everyone. I have seen content creators have people come over and, you know, some people are not nice and they ruin their slumber islands, or they take down something that someone else has done, and it, you know, it's very frustrating when you're sitting there building and someone's taking it apart. So there have been trolls that I've seen, and so that part is not cool. And it would just be nice if there was some kind of a dream code that we could save the slumber island and people could come visit but not necessarily mess it up. You know what I mean? So I think I am in the same boat as everyone else on that. I think a lot of people have said that already. But I do love that we have the log where, you know, if you've set something down and you can almost catalog it in the moment, and you can just go by the history of what you've placed, and it's a little bit quicker than looking through the entire menu. But the problem that I was having on this slumber island is I kept, you know, trying to get things out, and it would not always log what I was putting down. And so I keep having to go through the whole menu because things were not on my log that I know I had put down. So I don't know what was going on. I don't remember if I had this problem before when I've done slumber islands, but it just wasn't wanting to save every single thing. And when I decorate, I do a lot of the same items. I tend to just be repetitive with what I'm putting down, especially in terms of mushroom items, because, you know, they're all red. And so before I started this build, I grabbed a whole bunch of mushroom items from my catalog. I put them down, I picked them back up so that they would be in my log. But when I went to decorate, they were not all in my log. So please let me know if you guys have had this same experience on your slumber islands, because I would love to know if it was just me, or if this is something that, you know, maybe Nintendo could address at some point. That would be nice. But I just wanted to have this waterfall feature, and then I wanted to have my house up on a cliff, and so I put this incline going up. There was not a lot of room left up there, but that's okay, because my house is not the main focus of this slumber island. But I just thought that I would include it in the build and customize it in red and black so that it was ladybug colors. And I did cut some of the decorating around the cliff out because I kept changing my mind with the path. At first I had the mushroom path, and then I switched to the rose path, and then I, of course, changed my mind again because that's what I do. And so I do change my mind a lot. I am a very indecisive person, and I kept changing my mind so many times with what I was putting down. But you know, after I started the whole circular centerpiece at the entrance, it did start getting easier. It was just that I was indecisive about some of the items and the heights. You know, sometimes you want something that's a little bit taller, sometimes you want something that's a little bit shorter. I did use this pansy table, which I don't think I've ever used before. and it's very red, and I think that it went well with the theme. And I saw another red island that had those all over the place, and I thought that it was a really great idea to use that table for right by my house. But it didn't take me too long to decorate this cliff area up here, but the thing that took the longest was probably just filling in around the entrance and doing the big circular design at the entrance. But I did have some codes saved that I really loved, and I didn't end up using. So if I did an all red island at some point someday, then I would love to have the codes again so that I could maybe, use them all. But I just didn't want to go with the Slumber Island that was any bigger, because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to fit it all in one speed build, and I didn't want to have this series go on too long or break it up into too many videos, just because I thought, one color per video, and a mini island is about the size of an acre on an island. So I don't know how many acres I would decorate red if I had a rainbow island. But if I had a rainbow island and all the colors were on the same island, then I would probably have at least 1 acre. And so I think that if I had more, they would probably look a lot like this. And if I had a ladybug path, then I think it would bring in the theme even more, but I just could not find one out there. So, but I would love to do like a ladybug themed island at some point. I just think that they're adorable. They're one of my favorite bug models. I don't use all the bug models in the game. I don't use a lot of the beetles and the bugs that look kind of gross and scary, but ladybugs are not scary to me, and I love butterflies so much. So I've even done an all butterfly island. So if you haven't checked that out, I do have a playlist. But I do think that a lot of these colors are going to end up very butterfly core, because the only yellow bug that I can think of is the yellow butterfly. And the only orange bug that I can think of in the game is the monarch. So correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm forgetting one, please let me know. But some of the colors have more bugs in this game than others. But I think that some of them are only going to have 1 or 2. So that might be a little bit challenging, but I did actually have a monarch looking path that the wonderful, talented April Honey made me for Mariposa, my butterfly island. So I am definitely going to use that whenever I do orange, but I really do love working on Slumber Islands. It is just nice not to have to worry about pocket space and, making all of your items or getting all of your items by whatever means, you get all of your items. It is nice to be able to just go from your catalog, and I have cataloged everything on this island that I am dreaming from. But it is unfortunate that if you have new islands that don't have a lot in your catalog, it can be really hard to do Slumber Islands because you don't have the items that you want to work with. But I was just filling up all of the space up here on this cliff, and I did use some of the little ladybug cushions for the mush platforms, and I also used some of the ladybug umbrellas, but I just did a mixture of red and black flowers and different mushrooms, and I had the bug models, and I really had a lot of fun with this theme. I wasn't sure when I started what it was going to look like, but it really did come out a lot better than I thought. It was just a bit of a struggle with the controls, and I kept pushing the wrong buttons because I'm used to decorating on my islands. But I did want to put a picnic over here on the right hand side of this little tiny island, and so I did have quite a few fabrics that I downloaded for the red theme, and I didn't find any ladybug like blankets or anything, but I did find a lot of pretty fabrics that had red in them, and so it was hard for me to choose when I was doing the picnic what the customizations of fabric that I was going to use. I was struggling with picking because there were so many good ones, and just because you have a set color that you're going with doesn't mean that all of the codes are going to match. So, some of the reds are darker than others, some are brighter than others, some lean more towards the orange side, some lean more towards the, dark red, almost maroon side. So that is a struggle. I struggled with that when I was doing an all green island. And so I was struggling with all the different greens in the game. Every item that comes in green, they're not all the same green. So it was hard to match them all. Plus, there's only one green flower in the game. So that's a bit of a struggle. But I did really like all of the fabrics that I found for this island. And I didn't end up using all of them, but sometimes the more choices that you have, the harder it is to choose. For me anyway, definitely. I struggle with decisions all the time. I know that if you've watched me before, you know this already, but it does help if I'm hanging out in Discord with friends and just trying to focus on visiting and having a good time and not so much overthinking every single thing that I'm putting down. I mean, I still overthink and I still question what I'm putting down and if I like it or not, but I tend to zone out a bit when I'm hanging out with friends, and I'm not quite so indecisive. I'm still indecisive, but not quite as bad. But I just did this layering effect with the blankets here, and I put a mixture of the cushions. I am not the best when it comes to picnics and layering all the different heights and everything. It can be hard, but once I got some bears down, because I feel like, bears go really well on a picnic area, then I grabbed a bench, and so that took up more space. It didn't look so empty. So once I did that, then it came together pretty well. But it was a bit of a struggle, and I do walk around in circles sometimes, and that's just because I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to grab, what I'm going to use, what color, which code am I going to put on it, all of the questions all the time. But I just like to walk around and look at the area and see if I like it, because sometimes, you know, you can't see an item if it's in the back. Like, I was trying to decide if I wanted a mushroom lamp back there or if I wanted just a bush, and you couldn't really see the mushroom lamp, so I just moved it to where you could see it, and then, you know, it was okay. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of walking around and trying to see the whole area and how it's coming together, and I don't always notice it until I step back, or sometimes even in editing I'll look at it and I'll be like, you know, that was fine, I could have left that. But you know, I don't always think about that in the moment. But I tried to cut out as much of the scrolling through the menu as possible. It is a lot easier and faster when it's in your log. But like I said, some of the items did not show up in my log and they kept disappearing. And so that was a bit of a bummer, because I thought that I could be so much quicker by just putting everything that I was going to use down, and then I'd have it in my log and it would be faster to decorate with. But that wasn't the case. So I do hope that is fixed, because, you know, you want to be able to go off your little, I mean, that's what the log tab is for, right? And it would make decorating on Slumber Islands a lot faster and easier, especially if you're going to get it from a friend and log something that they have that you don't. Imagine having to keep asking your friend, can you put this down again because it's not showing up for me? You know, I mean, that's just annoying. So I do hope that that is fixed, and I don't know why it was doing that, but I don't remember having that problem before. But I do think that a lot of time is wasted by scrolling through the menu of items, and it's kind of hard to find. And so I hope that maybe in the future that could be fixed. But I was just finishing up the area around here with the little picnic, and then I just had the last little area, which was on the far left, and I did do the beaches off camera. They're just very simple, with a few flowers and a few of the bug models, but I did want to bring in the brick well over here because it comes in red, and so I thought that it was really fitting and really cute. That is probably my favorite customization of the brick well. I also like the brown one, but I really love the one with the red roof. So, but I just finished filling in this little stretch of an area here, and then I did the beaches. So, but I did not do my house. I just thought nobody probably wants to see me do interiors, and so I also didn't want the video to be too incredibly long. So let me know though if you know, you enjoy this kind of video and speed build, and if you are interested in seeing the orange one for next time. And let me know if you've had that issue with things not logging properly on Slumber Islands. But I did call this little Slumber Island ladybug, and I really did enjoy this theme, and I liked how it came out. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you to all my members. I will bring my helper in and we will see the finished product in just a moment, but I appreciate your time and you watching, and so thank you so much. And we are back, and I have my helper here. Hello. You ready to see it?
Yeah.
All right, tell me how red it is and how ladybug it is, okay?
Okay.
Because it's supposed to be bug themed.
That is very red.
It is very red. So I got these little round cushions with the ladybugs and these ladybug umbrellas.
If I came here, I would definitely think this would be like a ladybug island or like a bug island.
I even did the beaches.
Yay!
With a bunch of bugs. And I used this hibiscus code on the ground. Just very simple beaches, but at least they're done.
Yeah, like when you use codes like that ladybug code on the ground. Wait, what is this? Ladybug code on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That usually points to like the fact on like it's like basically giving you a hint on what the theme is of the island.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
So then I put my house up here. I didn't decorate it, but this is where my house is.
That was really hard to explain. Oh my god.
But yeah, I just did like very simple beaches, lighthouse, bench, and then a bunch of bugs on the beach. Is it realistic? No, but this is Animal Crossing. So.
I think this would be like either a bug island or like a bug mushroom island.
Yeah, it's kind of both. So, you like it?
I do.
Ugh, it's so hard to get a good shot whenever there's that archway there. I'll just stand here. Alright, well, I will put the codes that I used in the description box below. Shall we say bye?
Yeah. Alright, bye. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We'll see you for orange.
Ooh.
Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I am Crispy and today we are back on a Slumber Island and we are going to do orange and monarchs, as you can see by my dress. So I've kind of marked out the center of this small Slumber Island and I want to do like a butterfly pond and sunken, hopefully, so that I can maybe build some cliffs around it, maybe have an incline at the entrance. I don't know if it's going to fit, but I do have some codes that I've already moved over. So I have this beautiful monarch code by the wonderful, amazing April Honey. She made me this code. Well, she made this code. It was a redemption on her channel, and so, of course, anyone can use it, but I used this on Mariposa, which was my butterfly core island, and I'm going to use it again. And then I have this orange leaf path. I have fall petals, some butterfly stones, lots of orange codes, some orange planks and fabrics, and a few butterflies as well. So hopefully I can use all of this stuff. I have this too, so I may end up doing my interior. I'm not so sure. We will see if I have time and energy for that, but let's get started. Alright, so this build was definitely a struggle. I feel like I say that every time, but it was. So I'm just marking out the butterfly pond with a custom code on the ground, and so then I know where to waterscape. And I thought that I would just put it kind of in the middle of the island and then I'd have enough room for the cliffs all the way around. I wanted it to be kind of a sunken butterfly pond with some waterfalls coming down. I had seen some inspiration on Pinterest, and also I've done one of these on my butterfly island of Mariposa. And so I was just trying to create something like that. I did cut out most of the terraforming, otherwise this video would be forever long. And I also had to redo a lot of the terraforming, so it would be even longer, and nobody wants to see that. But it wasn't that I didn't like the terraforming. It was that I just didn't have enough space for like an incline at the entrance how I wanted to. And you can see I'm running around, looking, and I'm like, okay, this is fine. This is all right. But, the center of a butterfly pond is 1 tile wide, whereas a incline is 2. And so that was an issue, trying to get it to center. And also the 3rd tier cliff was so skinny that I couldn't really do the waterscaping that I wanted. It was like 2 or 3 wide in some parts, and I really like to round my waterfalls at the top. I like to make my water go somewhere and not just have it stop at the top. I don't know, it's just a personal preference. I like to make the water make sense, and even though this game is not realism, I don't know. And you can see how the incline is off. And I even thought of trying to just do a vine or trying to do a ladder, but of course it would not center. And so it was driving me crazy, and I decided to just adjust it because I was not happy with it. I was so ready to just delete this build and start over. And I was like, this whole build is just going to be cliff with waterfalls and a butterfly pond in the middle. And is that really orange? Is that really monarch? Am I going to be able to fit many monarchs? I was just really spiraling and struggling. And I just kept adjusting what I was doing. At first I took, I changed some of the incline ideas in the front, and then I decided if I moved the butterfly pond down by like 1 or 2 squares, then I would have more room behind it for a bigger cliff. I'd be able to fix the waterscaping that was bugging me and make it, curve and kind of loop around and go somewhere. And that would make it make sense. And then I could also maybe take some of the cliff out in front of the pond and just get rid of the sunken idea and do more of just a little peek through. I thought that was a good compromise, and my good friend Jojo Crosses, who I am usually hanging out in Discord with while I'm building, she had given me the idea of doing this little like canyon type build where you peek through and there's like this butterfly meadow in the middle, and it was a great idea. I had no idea how to execute it, but this is kind of similar to what she was describing because you can see through to the butterfly pond from the entrance, and then it kind of brought both of our ideas together because I love a sunken butterfly waterfall, and I also loved the idea of being able to see through from the entrance and not having to try to center the incline. So I was decorating the bottom of this pond, trying to figure out what I was going to do, because in this moment I hadn't changed my plan yet. And, I was happy with the colors. I thought it was very orange. I did not use this many orange flowers on my butterfly island. I used the orange hyacinths and the orange roses, I think. But then I used some whites and some blacks, I think, and the green mums, of course. And I felt like it looked more fall, and this looks more bright and more orange. And so even though I'm not a huge fan of the really, really bright orange in this game, I do love it when it comes to like tropical, and I loved it in this build because I really felt like the orange stood out. I even used the orange tea olive bushes, and I brought in like every single orange flower except for the orange pansies. So now I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my water at the top, and here it cuts to where the cliff is bigger, and I had changed the size off camera, moved the butterfly pond down, and now I can swirl my water around and just make it look a little bit better, make it make a little bit more sense. And so that is what I am doing here, and I do like it a lot better. I really like to swirl my water around and make it come from somewhere, not just stop it at the top. So that's just a personal preference. I was also able to make one side a little bit wider than the other. So one side is 2 wide and one is 1, and I just like the variation. But one thing that's annoying when you're waterscaping is you cannot, if there's a vine like anywhere close to it, like a vine would stop you from being able to waterscape. It's a little bit strange, but okay, Animal Crossing, if you say so. But I did bring my helper in at the end. I brought him over so that he could see the finished product, and that was a lot of fun, but he is, very silly. And so I did have room for my house up front here, but barely. So I think in hindsight, I should have maybe pushed this cliff behind it back just a couple of squares so that I had a little bit more space for my house. I mean, I barely had room for a path in front of it, but I managed to fit it in and it was fine. But I do think that it might have looked, a little bit better if I had been able to push it back by just a couple of tiles. But it's fine. I didn't want to change it yet again at this point. But I did make my house very orange, and I just used a whole bunch of the orange flowers and the orange mushroom parasols, which, by the way, is not my favorite version. I really love the white mushroom parasol. I think that one is my favorite. And then probably the red and white spotted mushroom parasol would be like my second favorite. I've used it a lot on a lot of different islands. And then I think after that, it would probably be the yellow one. I think the orange one is probably my least favorite just because it's so orange and so bright. But it does fit really well on this island. And I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do, what I was going to put, other than flowers and bushes and trees. What the heck was I going to use for items? And so I was trying to figure that out. I did have a few customizations for crops, but if I had gone with my original idea, I don't think I would have been able to fit them in because there was no space for anything other than the cliff. I think if I had made this island maybe like the medium size, then I would have had more space, but I don't think I would have been able to fit 4 acres of land, a build that size in one video, unless I would have just completely cut off a lot of it and a lot of the terraforming. And I try to show some of the terraforming. Some people like to watch that, some people don't, but I have had many people tell me, I like to watch the terraforming. So I try to leave as much of it in as I can, but I also try to keep my videos to around 30 minutes, maybe a few minutes more, but I try to stay within that time just because time is precious. And I know you guys value your time and I don't want to keep you too long, but I also know it gets to be a bit redundant sometimes when it's placing like the filler items, like the natural decor. I do use a whole lot of flowers in my builds, and so placing flowers over and over and over again, placing bushes and trees over and over again can be a bit repetitive. But I decided to put this little picnic here in front of the pond, and you can still get to the pond. It's a little bit scoochcore, but that is my brand. Apparently, that is what I do best, so I'm okay with that. You're still able to access the pond, but I just thought that a picnic beside the pond would make sense. So I did have all of these different orange fabrics, and sometimes it's hard to do a completely like one color build when you have so many different variations of that color in the game. You know, Animal Crossing has some bright versions of every color, and then they have some more muted colors, you know, darker and lighter, and so it's kind of hard to make them a bit cohesive, I guess, and look nice together without it clashing. But I think that orange was not quite as hard as I thought it was going to be, especially since I didn't use a huge variety of items. I used the orange version of the log items, like with the log stakes, the log chairs, or you know, I can't remember if I used any other log furniture, but I did have that out and ready to use. And then the log stools, I put some of the monarchs on the log stools, so that was another one. But I'm lucky that it did come in the orange version, and I was able to use those because I tend to use the mushroom platforms to put butterfly models on, and in this case, there is not an orange version, so I had to find other things that the monarch would sit on other than just the ground. So I used the log stools, and I also brought in some of the ruined pillars because the brown version does kind of have an orange tint, and I thought that it was okay to use that because I didn't have anything else that the butterflies could really go on. So I didn't use too many of the pillars. I used mostly just the ground or the log stools, but I did try to put as many of the monarchs around as I possibly could fit. And so I really like how it came out in the end. I'm so glad that I didn't just rage quit because I really like how this came out. It just took a process to get here, and that's okay. I don't plan my builds all of the time. I just kind of wing it. And so this is what happens. You know, sometimes you have to move builds over or down a couple of spaces, and it's annoying and it takes more time. But I really like that you can do that in this game. It's so, you know, versatile where you can just change it. And so we don't have Rossetti on Slumber Islands, which is unfortunate, but at least it's a lot easier to pick items up. You don't have to have a shovel to pick up flowers or trees or bushes, and you don't have to worry about your inventory space filling up. So that part is nice. And I really didn't have to take much items up because I had mainly just done the terraforming. So I'm glad that I moved it when I did, because if I had decorated the whole thing and then had to move it, that would have been really annoying. But the other kind of annoying thing about Slumber Islands is that when you go to climb up a cliff, it takes you out of decorating mode. So you have to like press the plus button in order to get in and out of the decorating mode, which is a bit annoying. And then if you want like fences, you have to press the plus again. And sometimes I go back into decorating mode instead of being able to get to the fences. So the controls are a little bit different and a little bit not what we're used to. They're like opposite from what we use on our islands. So that is definitely a bit of a struggle. But other than that, I really love not having to worry about pocket space and not having to worry about using my shovel to move the flowers around or trees around. I don't have to constantly carry around fruit to stunt the trees or fruit to dig up the trees, you know, if I change my mind, which we all know is like every 5 seconds. But the sides of these cliffs were kind of long, and so it's mostly just filler up here. And I tried to fit as many butterflies as I could, but the other bug model that I wanted to bring into this orange island and build was the Atlas moth, and that sucker is so big. It's like a 2x2 item, and it has a huge stand, and so it's a little bit awkward to be able to use because of its size. It's kind of like the Queen Alexandra. Is that how it's? I think that's the name of it. The big, huge, gigantic butterfly that's like green, and it might have some black in it. I can't remember, but it's like the biggest butterfly in the game. And so that one's also really big. But I wanted to bring that in. It's just that I'm not a huge fan of the stand on it. And so I did put it on one of the cliffs, and I did put it on the beach. But I think I only used it like twice because of its size and the awkward stand. So I hope that's okay. The monarch is actually my favorite and what I really wanted to shine and, you know, for this island to represent. So hopefully that is okay and that you can tell when this build is over what the true like theme of the island is, other than orange, of course, because I think that's pretty apparent. I think it's even more orange than the red island because the path, even though it is a dirt path, it has the monarchs on it. So I'm so glad that April Honey made that path. It's a gorgeous path, and I am going to use it like on as many islands as I possibly can because I just love it. It turned out so well. She does such great custom codes. She's so talented, and yeah, I'm just so grateful for that. But filling in the rest of the space on these cliffs is probably the most tedious and hard part. You just, you know, you try not to be too repetitive. You try not to use the same flower right next to each other. At least I do. And I was trying to layer my trees so that it looked a little bit more layered and less one-dimensional, I guess. Two-dimensional, I don't know. A little less flat, I guess you could say. And so I tried my best to vary it up and not make it too repetitive. But it is sometimes a struggle when you only have like 5 or 6 flowers, and I do have the log stakes and the log stools with the butterflies on them, but you know, other than the mushroom parasol, that's pretty much all I was using. And so I couldn't think of anything else that I would put on cliffs that had any height, or, you know, I was trying not to use too many of the pillars because I thought that, you know, they weren't as orange as I wanted them to be. But now I am working on the farm, and so I just used a variation of the different pumpkin stages and the different carrot stages, and I thought that it turned out really, really cute. I was really happy that I had this space in the front to put a farm, and so I'm so glad that I changed the design because I wouldn't have been able to fit it otherwise. And I ended up going with the country fence in this area because I thought it had an orange tint, and I thought that it was more orange than like a barbed wire fence. So that is what I used. That is my favorite fence in the game, but let me know which fence is your favorite in the comments below. I love the country fence, and so if I could use it on every single island, I think I would. But I put a little stacked bags and a little watering can on the side, and I thought that it turned out really cute with the path and the little picnic and this farm. So it's almost like an orange farm core butterfly island. I guess that's the theme. But now I'm doing the left side cliff and just filling in the space like I did before. And this is the cliff where I brought in the Atlas moth. I really do love that moth in the game. It's kind of a harder bug to catch because it's on the trees and you get anywhere close to it and it wants to fly away. But that is one of the more common bugs, I guess. Some of the beetles in the game can be really rare and hard to find, but I feel like I see the Atlas moth quite a bit, and I'm so glad that I have caught that on my Forever Island, and I ended up finishing my Critterpedia, but you know, I don't know if that's something that you guys like to do on your islands, but I really love filling in the Critterpedia, and my helper does as well. He loves that, but he did not have 3 stars on his island because he's just interested in catching all of the bugs and fish and stuff, so he's not as interested in getting to 3 stars, and so I had to have him use my other switch and my other character so that he could actually come to the Slumber Island and see this build with me. So I did bring him in though in the end, and he ran around and was his normal silly self. So I hope that you guys don't mind his silliness. He cracks me up, but hopefully he does that to other people and not just annoys them, you know? But he's so fun, and he cracks me up all the time with all of his sayings, and so he loved running around on the Slumber Island. Maybe one day we'll be able to actually build one together and we can do like a Lego island or something. I don't know. He wants to do an ocean island, but he tends to have very little patience with Animal Crossing and the dialogue and you know, the actual building in the game. But here's where I put the Atlas moth on the cliff, and I just used like a bush and a medium-sized tree to kind of hide the stand a little bit, but we are almost finished. I did go ahead and do the beaches off camera, but I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I hope that you're excited for the next color. I'm excited. I really think that yellow is going to be one of my favorites, and so thank you so much for watching. And we are back, and I have my helper here.
Hello.
He did not have 3 stars on his island, so I had to give him my other switch, and he customized his character to look like a boy, but he wanted to keep the glasses on so that we could be twins. He thinks it's hilarious. All right, are you ready to see it?
Yes.
Okay. So, this is the orange monarch island.
Wait, are we done with it?
Yes.
Oh.
We. I love how you say we.
Hey, I'm a part of this channel too.
Yeah, thanks for all your help, bud. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, walk around, see what you think. We have like a teddy bear picnic in the front, and
Wow.
Can you tell what the water is in the shape of?
I gotta get over there.
Oh, okay, let me move out of your way.
Oh wait, wrong way. Oh, it's a butterfly.
Oh, that's crazy. So crazy, right?
That's great. That's crazy.
All right, and then I put my house over here.
Shall we go in?
Oh,
Did you
no,
decorate it?
I didn't yet. No. Totally forgot about that.
You did the beaches.
I did. Look at this. Whoa. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Okay, come on.
I can't.
Or this outro is going to be like forever long. Ta-da! Did some windmills back here. Are you having fun?
I am.
I'm glad. Oh my gosh.
I got stuck.
You're jumping all over the place. All right, and then we're going to come over this way.
Ooh, carrots.
Yes, we got some crops, and I put the Atlas moth over
It's
here.
huge.
I know, right? I just don't like the stand, so I gotta...
It's bigger than my head, bro. That's crazy.
And so this looks very similar, but I just did a whole bunch of orange trees, a whole bunch of orange flowers. You can kind of sort of see
Hey, wait for me.
the tops of the cliffs from here.
Like a certain angle, yeah. Ooh, whoa.
What do you think?
I like it.
I think it turned out pretty cool. I had to redo the pond because I didn't push it down far enough and I didn't have room for the waterfalls in the back. And so, yeah, it was a struggle. All right, shall we say bye?
A day.
No, like
Oh, a day.
over here. You're so silly. All right, let's say bye.
A day. Oh. Bye. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Where are you going? Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Crispy, and today we are back on another Slumber Island. I have been doing a Rainbow Slumber Island series, and today we're going to do yellow and honeybees, of course, but I also want to have lots of yellow butterflies in the mix. So I found this really cute dress with honeybees on it. I thought it was adorable, and I downloaded a whole bunch of cute yellow codes. I have this really pretty yellow path. It does have some other accent colors in it, but it's primarily yellow. I used this on my fall island, and I absolutely love it. I think it's gorgeous. I think it looks best in September personally, so I set my switch to September. And I also grabbed this yellow brick code. It does have some other accent colors, but I think it matches this path really well. And some rugs and flower fillers. I got some honey codes, and I found these yellow planks. And I might use some of this path, but it's more of a spring path. I don't know how it's going to look, but it might look okay on this grass. And so, yeah, some duck codes and some honey codes, and maybe do like a lemonade stand. So I'm really excited, and I don't know how much terraforming I'm gonna do, but I'll figure it out. So let's get started. All right. Well, as much as I struggled with orange. I think I struggled like 10 times worse with yellow. I was really excited for yellow. I absolutely love these codes. I'm not a huge yellow fan, but I love this path so much, and I did use it on my fall island, like I said, and so it's one of my favorites. But I was trying to do this centerpiece in the center, kind of like I did for I guess red, and because I didn't do it for orange, but I was having trouble with the path going around this like centerpiece. Normally I would probably use like a glowing moss pond or something, but there's not a yellow version, and so I wanted to use this little mush table and put a few items on it, put a few butterfly models. I thought it would be cute, and it takes up as much tiles, I thought, as a glowing moss pond, but for some reason the path was just really, really hard to make a circle around, and I think it was just my placement of items. I was doing more of an oval shape instead of a circle, so I tried to cut as much of that out as I could because it was a struggle, and I had to redo the path. I can't even tell you how many times I struggled. I had to just finally turn it off and wrap my brain around it. Now you can see what an oval it is, and it will cut in a minute to me having fixed the path. But it was starting to look a little bit better. I put a few flowers on the side. I tried codes, I tried flowers, I tried a few different things trying to make it look the way that I wanted it to, but I was definitely struggling. And then I just kept struggling. I would put something down, I wouldn't like it, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't really have a definitive plan other than make a bee farm and make a lemonade stand, you know? And so it was turning out okay. And here you can see my circle is fixed and it looks so much better. So much better. I just had to fix the spacing, but I really like this spacing and this shape a lot better. And I like that the path isn't too wide and oval shaped. So I put the butterflies on the ground instead of on the tables, and I just put like a sugar and creamer set and a little mom's tea cozy on the table. And then I started working on the bee farm, and I had this whole thing pretty much put down and decorated, and then I realized that I didn't press record, so I had to pick it all back up. But at least I had, liked what I had put down for the most part, so it wasn't too bad. But I just struggled with every single thing that I was doing, and I kept getting frustrated because it was looking okay, and it wasn't that I wasn't liking it, but I just struggled with it. I struggled with where to connect my paths and walkways and the shapes of the paths and walkways, what code to use and what items to use. And I don't know, some days you just have those days where you struggle and you have a hard time, with decorating, and some days it just flows out of you and you're so inspired and you can just, whip something up and it doesn't take any time at all, and I've had days of both. And this day was very much a struggle bus day. But I'm so glad that I stuck with it. I really thought of just starting over. It was so hard to edit, so if it's jumpy, I'm so sorry. I tried to cut out a lot of my indecision and me just putting something down, picking it up, but there is a lot of that in this build. And so you can see my indecisiveness. I tried a few different fences. I tried a few different items. I wasn't really sure what fence to use. And the park fence didn't really fit with a bee farm, and so I ended up changing it. I even tried the log stakes, thinking, well, maybe log stakes will be a fence. And so I tried that, but I wasn't really happy with a whole bunch of log stakes around my bee farm either. So I ended up just going with the barbed wire fence because I just thought, it's okay. It's a fence. Everything is primarily yellow. It's, I just let myself have that one. There's not a lot of shorter yellow fences. I did use the vertical board fence up by my house, but other than that, I mainly used the log stakes, and there's not really a yellow version of that, but it kind of has a yellowish tint, so I'm just calling it okay. This is a rainbow challenge, but it's not necessarily like a one color challenge. You know what I mean? So I think it's fine. You can definitely tell that this is a yellow island in the end, and so I'm okay with that. But it was looking almost, spring core and very natural, and I was liking it, but I didn't even finish it in this day because of how much I was struggling, and so I ended up having to finish it the next day. And then it was like when I laid down in bed that night, it was just, I was trying to figure out what to do next and how to finish the build because I've done like half of it. And then I was just thinking, well, I could do a waterfall and I could have some ducks by the waterfall, and that could be how I finish it out. But I was like, is this going to be really bug themed if I do that, with just a small little bee farm and a few butterflies around? Is it going to be bug themed? And so I thought about it some more, and then I thought, well, maybe a butterfly garden, but I am not very comfortable with like meadowcore and flat builds, so I was a little bit intimidated by that, and if that would fill up the entire space. And here is where I'm starting on the honey stall area where you would buy the honey. And so I just kept thinking about it, and I was really having a hard time deciding. I even thought about maybe some kids' tents and like a picnic area, and they were all fine ideas, but I just wasn't really feeling like it was very bug themed. And so I did finally decide on an idea, but I'm not going to spoil it yet. But I'm super, super excited for you to see it because I really, really am happy with how it came out. So if you are struggling with a build on your island, I would just like to say, just keep trying, because I struggle so much with design, probably because of my indecisiveness and just not having a great plan, and just being, I have a lot of self-doubts, so that's part of it too, but I do really, really struggle sometimes. And so if you are like me and struggle with deciding what to build or trying to figure it all out, you're not alone. And I did put the spring path kind of on the edges of that wooden plank code, and I wasn't really that happy with it. I just thought it didn't make a lot of sense, and this is like September grass, so I actually decided to just extend the plank code. And I also forgot my little honeybee sign, so I wanted to bring that in. But of course, I changed my mind on which side I wanted it on, so I had to switch sides. But I did just extend the planks by one, and that kind of connected it to my path that I had at the entrance. And then I was trying to put some trees back here. I wasn't really wanting to use like cedar trees, so I was trying to just put something in the back that had some height, and so I just used like a large version of the hardwood tree and like a regular hardwood tree. And then I brought in a pillar with a butterfly, but I'm not sure I actually kept that because I think that I ended up building a cliff for my house. I was just afraid if I put my house behind the honey farm and the honey stall that you wouldn't be able to see it at all. And so I thought giving my house some height would allow you to see it a little bit better from like the entrance, and it would just give it a little bit more dimension, make it a little bit less flat. So I built up this cliff behind the honey farm, and I ended up taking some of those trees out and replacing it with storefronts instead, because of course Animal Crossing doesn't let you put a cliff right next to a tree. So I ended up just putting a few storefronts behind it instead of the trees, and I did like that better just because I could get the cliff like right up next to it, and there wasn't this blank space back there that was kind of awkward. It's just awkward to get the storefronts to place in the right direction, so I had to take out some of the cliff and then put it back, but I liked it better, so I was okay with that, and I did fix it, and then I put the incline going up to my house, and I wasn't sure when I started doing yellow if I was gonna like how it came out. I wasn't sure how it was gonna look because, like I said before, it's not my favorite color, but I have to say that I really do like how it came out. So I didn't think I was going to be able to say that. I really thought I was going to hate it because it was just such a struggle, and I was about ready to eat my Switch, but I didn't. And so I'm just proud of myself for persevering, because sometimes my first instinct is just to delete it, and I'm glad that I didn't, because I wouldn't have had the end result that I did. I do think that some of these colors are going to be easier than others, and green is next, so I'm trying to decide what type of theme I do for green and what bug models I use. I know for yellow there may have been one or two that I didn't use. I know someone mentioned the man-faced stink bug, and I wasn't sure if that was for orange or yellow. It's hard to tell. When you look at it, it kind of looks yellow, but it could have been that it was a little bit orange, so I didn't end up using that one. I didn't end up using the spider because I'm not a huge fan of spiders. They kind of freak me out. And I was trying to go for more of like a garden type vibe and not like a jump scare. So I didn't end up using a spider, but I did use a whole bunch of the yellow butterflies and the tiger butterflies and of course the honeybees. And I didn't name this island at first because I wasn't sure which bug models I was going to end up using more, but after I figured out what the second half of the island was going to be, I decided to name it Honeybee. And I'm just so thankful that I got through this build. Some builds are a lot harder to get through than others. And when I did an all green island, I thought it was going to be easy because it's my favorite color, but there's, some items in this game just don't come in every color. And when you're looking for certain items to use, like fences or little items to put on the tables or anything like that, sometimes it can be really hard if you don't have them in the right colors. But I did use the plumeria bushes because they do kind of have a yellow tint in the middle, and I thought that they kind of looked spring-like. I know they're meant to be a summer bush, but I just thought that the flowery garden vibe really looked really pretty with yellow. And so those are the bushes that I used. But now I'm just working on the lemonade stand by my house. And so I did get these codes for some lemonade shelves, and I had to change the simple panel color because it was not dark enough. The edges needed to kind of match the shelves for the code, and so I did change that. But I had 2 different codes for the lemonade stand, and I will put all of the codes in the description so that if you want to use any of them, that you can. But I had the idea of this mixer and this little pitcher. It's almost a golden ochre yellow, but it is kind of yellow. It's the closest that we have to something that you would pour out of anyway. And so that's what I used. Maybe I should have used white. It might have looked better, but I was trying to go as yellow as possible. But I just put a few barrels around, and then I had this code for like a basket or crate of lemons, and so I put that on the ground. I ended up putting 2 of those down because I could not figure out what else to use. I did have a sign that was for lemonade, and I had the analog scale. I wish we had some yellow fruit in this game, but we do not, sadly. So I ended up just putting a stacked crates, I think that's what it's called, beside the barrel, and I ended up putting another lemon umbrella code, lemon crate, I guess you could say, beside the barrel. And I thought that it finished off the build pretty well. I thought of using the dessert case, but I didn't really like how it was looking or any of the codes. I thought of putting the lemonade sign on it, but it has the squares for the sides of the sign, so it looked a little bit weird. So I just ended up doing another lemon crate, and I thought that it turned out pretty cute. I'd never done a lemonade stand before, so it was difficult. Sometimes when the items are not really in the game and you're just using like signs or codes, it can be a little bit of a struggle to make them look like, what you're wanting. I hope that in the next game we get some more fruit options, like maybe some strawberries or blueberries or lemons. That would be so cute. But when I put a few butterflies around my yard, I realized that I hadn't really used as many bug models as I wanted to. There was like 2 up here. I had the apiary or bee farm down below, but I just didn't have as many as, I wanted. It didn't really scream, bug core to me. And I'm not wanting a bug core that's like scary or creepy. I'm just wanting to use the bug models in a way that I think looks really cute. And there are, bugs in every color. And so I use a lot of butterfly models on my island. So I just thought it would be a fun theme to try to do. And this is pretty much the point where I stopped for the night, because it was like 11:30 at night and I'd only done like half the island. But I was not sure at this point what the heck I was going to do on the rest of the island. And I was thinking heavily about just terraforming and putting a duck pond or a waterfall, because that's my go-to. And when I don't know how to fill in some space, I usually, gravitate towards terraforming. And so I really did think about doing that, and it would have filled in some space. It would have been cute, but like I said, it wasn't really as bug core as I wanted it to be. And I am trying to make these like multi-theme, and I'm trying to make them cute without just spamming a whole bunch of bug models everywhere. And so I'm trying to make the bug models that I use fit with the theme. And I'm also trying to make them primarily one color. So, yeah, I don't know what made me think of this idea, but I hope that I am doing it justice. I mean, I'm trying my best, but other than just doing another butterfly pond or butterfly waterfall, I wasn't sure what else to do. And so I really wanted to lean in to the bug theme. And so I, on this day, decided to go code shopping again and try to find more codes. And there was a mosquito that was following me around. And at one point I did get bit by the mosquito. And so I forget that even in September, they're still out. And it was so annoying because I had set the time to like early morning. And so that it's still flying around and bothering me. And yeah, I don't want to use any mosquito models. They're so annoying, just like in real life. But I guess if I end up doing black, then I might use one. I don't know. But it was funny because it was following me around like this entire build. But I am just lining the cliff edge with a whole bunch of bushes and flowers just to kind of cover up the cliff as much as possible. You know, you can't put trees too close to cliffs, so I try to just use natural decor to kind of fill it all in. But in some areas by the back rocks you can put trees and some you can't. I guess the closer you get to that big rock on the side, you cannot use trees. So I had to use another mush parasol for that. But now I am coming in with a honey code that I got online. I used the pink version. The creator of this code, which I will leave the creator code in the description, but they made a pink version, which is like spilled milk, and they made a brown version, which is like chocolate, and they made a honey version, and I totally did not realize or pay attention to the fact that they made a honey version. And so I decided to put a big, huge honey pond in this area and add like some floats and some boats that were made by Squirrels Crossing. I was heavily inspired by their honey island. It is absolutely amazing. And so I used some of their codes that they made, And I love how they match this honey path. They did a really great job at matching it because they made the float and the boat. And so I decided to do like a honey bear type bee area and really lean into the whole honey bee theme. And so I just used a mixture of the baby bears and the mama bears, and I put a whole bunch of honeybee models and some of these little cube lights that have like a honeycomb customization on them. And at first I put them on the actual boats, and then I decided to put them like on the sides and in the actual honey. And I put the mama bears on the boats instead, because you cannot put the mama bears on like the little round cushions, sadly. So I just had to put them on the actual boats. But I thought that it was really cute. So shout out to Squirrels Crossing from Instagram, because they had a amazing honey island, and it is just amazing and full of honeybees and honeycomb and just absolutely fabulous. And so I could never do such a theme enough justice, but I did try to use the little grass standees to look like little honey splashes, and they had like little ripple patterns, and so I put some of them down. I dropped some honey, it's not honeycomb in the game, it's called wasp nests, but it looks like honeycomb. And so I dropped some of the wasp nests around, and I just thought that it really filled in the space nicely, and it made this island more bug themed, basically. And so I was trying to lean heavily into the bug themed and do a huge honey pond here. And I really did think it turned out pretty cute. I could have made the whole island, this, but I think it would have been a little bit too repetitive. But the fact that I have the honey farm with all of the beekeeper hives and the flowers, and then I also decided to do a diagonal flower field here with a whole bunch more of the beehives and the bee models, and that filled in the rest of this little corner here. And so I wish that the yellow flower path had like a skinny piece. It doesn't. It's just like a 9-piece path. So sadly, I couldn't make the little diagonal paths any skinnier than this, but I was able to fit some beehives on it and some honeybees and some wasp nests. So I really wasn't too mad about it, and it did look different than what was on Squirrels Crossing's island. So I was trying to be different and not just do the same thing. And I really do love the code. This flowery code is just beautiful. And so I really wanted to use it more. It's one of my favorite codes. So if you're looking for a code that goes well with September grass, this is definitely, I think, one of the best. And it's one of my favorites. So I will use it again if I have the same color scheme. But I just filled in this diagonal path and these diagonal flowers in the rest of the area. I did end up doing the beaches off camera again because I did not want to keep you guys too long. I'd already gone over what I normally like to do for video time, but I am so glad that I kept trying and kept going on this island and this theme, because it was a struggle, but I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. I will make sure to bring my helper in again whenever we do the final walkthrough. I think he's gonna like the honey bears a lot. I did start a Winnie the Pooh island at one point. It's been several years now, but I might try it again because I really love the honey theme. And so I never ended up finishing that island. I tried my best, but I just was having a really hard time with it and the theme and trying to terraform like storybook pages on it. So I might revisit that theme again because I love Winnie the Pooh. It was one of my favorites as, growing up. So I might do that theme again. But this definitely made me think of Winnie the Pooh when I was doing it. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you have any ideas for green or blue, because I'm definitely going to run out of ideas. There's so many that have just butterflies, as the color. So, but thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. And we are back, and I have my helper again.
Hello.
You ready?
Yeah.
You wanted to be twins again with the glasses.
I did.
This is Honeybee.
Whoa.
So look around. There's a bee farm over here.
I want honey.
And a honey stall. Yeah, you love honey, don't you?
I do.
And then up here is my house with a lemonade stand. Whoa, I did not decorate the inside of my house again. So, and I totally forgot to put the chair back.
Knock, knock.
Oh well, there was a chair there.
Oh.
R.I.P. chair.
R.I.P. frog chair.
Now look over this way.
Oh, I got stuck.
You like it?
I got stuck.
It's like a big honey pond. Are you stuck?
Yeah.
Well, okay, bye.
That's not nice.
So on the beaches, I just put this path and a lighthouse. I used the little lantern and bench.
Hey.
He likes to sit on the benches.
Sit with me.
Okay.
Yeah, I make room. Oh.
There we go. Oh. I totally took a picture of that. All right.
Hey, mommy.
So what do you think? Is it bug themed enough?
It looks. Yeah, obviously.
I think it is. I mean, it has a lot of. Am I in your way? I'm sorry. I used a lot of honeybee models and butterfly models.
Oh my God, you're in the way. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Listen, we're going slowly. Patience, grasshopper.
Hey, I'm not no grasshopper.
I know, it's a saying. Wow.
Wait, I scoot over.
Yeah, you're too far over. I can't sit with you. Oh, look how cute we are.
Wait, you should take a screenshot with me doing that.
I don't know if I can catch it.
3, 2, 1.
I don't know if I caught it, but
okay, whatever.
We'll see.
I'm coming.
But yeah, this is how it came out. And then at the bottom of the beach, I did manage to get one duck in.
Yay. Ducky.
But I just did like a little seating area down here. So yeah, I am really proud of how it came out because it was a struggle. It was definitely a struggle, and it was looking very spring and less like bug themed. So I'm glad that I added the big honey pond back here. But shall we say bye? Where did you go? Oh, okay. How about we say bye right here?
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, let's say bye. Okay, bye. Make sure to like and make sure to like and subscribe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Crispy, and today we are back on my Rainbow Slumber Island series. Today we are doing green, obviously, by my appearance and the thumbnail and title. But I am so excited for today because green is my favorite color. And I did do an all green island. I did a 30-day one color challenge, and that was very tough. I thought it was going to be easier than it was, but there's so many greens in this game. So many greens, and some of them clash with each other. And there's a lot of items that don't come in green, so it was difficult. But I think this time I want to go with something a little bit different since I've already done an all green island. I want to go kind of jungly, swampy. I want to have lots of like frog models and karopi snacks and bamboo and of course all the green bug models that I can possibly put on this island. I do have a whole bunch of custom codes. I am hoping that all of these go well together. I downloaded this swampy path so that I could put it like around trees and bamboo and stuff. I really love it and how green it is. And then I have some swampy like mossy codes, and I have some froggy codes, some lily pad codes. I even got these mossy planks, and hopefully I don't lose my voice because I have been under the weather, but I am excited for this, and I hope that it's gonna come out the way that I see it in my head. So let's get started. Alright, so for this island, what I was picturing is kind of like a jungle ruins type vibe. And I thought that with a jungly, swampy, ruins themed, that it would just be like a bug paradise. You know, when I think of the jungle or the Amazon, I really think of lots and lots of bugs. I mean, sure, other creatures too, but I think that it would just be like a haven for bugs, right? So I was trying to create areas like a swamp and different areas like that where bugs would just be everywhere, you know? And so I set my switch to June 1st thinking maybe I could even, you know, in the outro or like maybe after I finished, I could set it to nighttime, and then all of the fireflies would be out and it would create like this ambiance and look really cool. Well, I did try to set the time to like evening, and on my island when it is nighttime there was fireflies everywhere, but when I set it to nighttime in this Slumber Island, for some reason they just wouldn't come out. So I don't know if I just wasn't patient enough, maybe I wasn't, but it didn't quite have the exact vibe that I was going for. But there are a lot of green bugs in this game, and I do use some of them, especially like the butterflies I use a lot, and I've used the green leaf bug before on my islands. I think I used it on my red and green mushroom island, and I do like the leaf bug model, but I don't think I've ever used any of the grasshopper models at all. Not that I don't like grasshoppers. I used to catch them as a child. Funnily enough, I was a big tomboy, and I liked catching grasshoppers. I actually used to catch all kinds of pets that I would bring back home, like turtles and grasshoppers and horned lizards and just all kinds of creatures. But I digress. I was trying to make this island as bug themed as possible, but also staying true to the green theme. So I don't know if it is as bug themed as like the yellow island that I just did. I really love how it came out, and it's a little bit easier to make a honey bee themed island than it is to make a, grasshopper themed island or a leaf bug themed island. I don't know. I was struggling with how much terraforming to do, and I was struggling with, I just don't tend to make all flat islands. I tend to like some terraforming. So I thought maybe some small cliffs at the front, would make it look very jungly. I don't even know if that's a word. I know it's probably not, but I was going with the whole jungle ruins theme. And so I have these little cliffs at the front of the island, and then I wanted to go into more of like a centerpiece again and have this rock garden with lots of like bug models around it, and then have like a swamp around it, around this centerpiece. Well, I may have tried to put too many themes into one. I don't know. But I did try to use as many of the green bug models as I possibly could. There's so many. There's like 3 different grasshoppers, maybe 4, because there's the rice grasshopper and the regular grasshopper. And then there's like a migratory locust and a long locust, I think is what it's called. So there's all of those, plus the mantis. I think I actually forgot about the stink bug. So I did try to bring in as many as possible, but there are several. And this is only like a 1 acre in size. So, but I really love how this entrance was looking. I was struggling with whether or not to bring in more trees than just the bamboo. These little cliffs were not very big, so I couldn't fit just a ton of trees, but I did want to have it look as jungle-like as possible. So I was like, what all trees come in a jungle? I don't really know. On my jungle island that I did, it was a no items jungle island, so I used like the fossils and I used all natural decor, but I didn't use actual leaf items in the game. So any of the like bug models or furniture, I didn't use any of that. I just used like food and fossils and things that don't have a leaf icon in your inventory. And so I used a lot of like the coconut trees and then like hardwood trees mixed together. I can't remember if I used bamboo trees or not, actually. So I would have to go back and look because it's been a minute, but I just wasn't sure how many different types of trees to use is basically my point. So I did have a bunch of bamboo trees at the entrance here, and then I did decide to bring in a coconut tree on this side, and I actually brought in a hardwood tree as well. And then I noticed at the end that I had only put 1 hardwood tree on this whole island. So that was my bad. I meant to use more trees, but I guess I didn't have the space. The swamp code on the sides of the island kind of took up some space, and then the big centerpiece in the middle, which I might should have left out, honestly. I do love how the centerpiece looked. I just don't know if it matches the rest of the vibe of the rest of the island. So I'm not sure about that, but I think maybe if I didn't have my centerpiece with the rock garden in the middle, then maybe I could have fit more trees around. But it is what it is, I wanted to put so much on this island and I only had so much space, so I could probably do a whole island just with this green jungle ruins type vibe. It's one of my favorites. I love it. I was heavily inspired by a creator on Instagram that I saw that did like a gyroid food themed green island, and it looked really jungly. And so when I was doing my DIY only island, I was heavily inspired by that one, and so I kind of already did this type of theme on my DIY only island, but I wanted to try to make it different with the swamp type theme. But yeah, I don't know if I accomplished what I set out to do or not. I'm still on the fence, but now I am creating this centerpiece, and I wanted this rock code that was made by Naden Far. I think that's how you pronounce their name, Naden Far, on Instagram. Naden Far Crossing made this code. It's supposed to be like a Zelda code, but I just wanted the rock code for underneath the glowing moss pond that I was going to put in the center. And maybe I should have put the big Alexandra birdwing butterfly in the center instead, because it's kind of a 2x2 item and I didn't actually use it. Now, I just thought of that right now as I was talking. So yeah, I really wanted to use that, but it's a huge, gigantic butterfly. So that was a missed opportunity, but that's okay. But yeah, they had this Zelda rock with like Korok masks around their rock garden, and it was absolutely beautiful. But I just loved the idea of doing a rock garden with this green rocky code like around it, this rocky path. And so I was heavily inspired by that, and I wanted to create something similar but also, be different. So I did a combination of the Karopi snacks and like bug models going around this centerpiece. I thought it would be kind of, nice to have some kind of a centerpiece, and I wanted to use some of the glowing moss items because they are green, but I think I just had too many ideas going in my head with the jungle ruins, the glowing moss, the swamp, and all of the bug models, and it's just a lot to fit on a acre island. So I do love how this centerpiece looks. I'm just not so sure it matched the rest of the vibe on the island, but I was trying a few different bug models to go around this centerpiece, and then I decided, I'm not sure that I like it, and so I decided to use just butterflies and the Karopi snacks instead. But I did add a lot of the different bug models to the swamp area and to the beaches as well, so I did use a lot of different bug models on this island, and I had marked out where I wanted my house to go on the back behind this like centerpiece. And so I had marked that out with in-game pathing, which you can see back there. I wanted my house to kind of be up on a cliff, almost like a tree house. I could have downloaded like some standees or something for the tree house, but did I think of that? No, I'm only thinking of that now. So that was another missed opportunity. But yeah, if I was to do this island again, I'd probably leave out the centerpiece, even though it is really pretty and I love the glowing moss pond so much. It's just hard to fit everything in 1 acre. You know, when you start out on these slumber islands, especially the small ones, they look tiny. And then you start decorating, you're like, oh my gosh, this has tons of space. I can do, you know, whatever I want. But then you start putting a little bit of terraforming in and it's just gone. You know, and this actually took me a lot longer than some of the other slumber islands that I have done, and that was just the decorating part. I had to edit this down from like 50 minutes or so, even sped up, so I took out a lot of the, you know, laying the path and the terraforming and stuff that's not as interesting to watch, because I didn't want it to be too long. But this cliff in the back where I put my house was really tiny. You barely have enough space to get up there, but I just wanted like a plant area, not a plant shop, but just a plant area, because that's one of my favorite things in this game, is to do like plant areas, plant shops. I do them a lot on my islands, and plants in this game are some of my favorite things, and that's why it's on my banner. I just love green. I love plants. I love all the nature in this game. And so I wanted to have this little plant area because I thought that it would look nice beside like a jungly house. And I did struggle with the customization of my house. I wasn't sure what a jungle house would look like, and I wanted to make it green. It did come out kind of dark, but I do think it looks jungly. So even though it's not my favorite customization, I think that it matched the theme okay, hopefully. But I did have to make the plank underneath the little plant area a little bit bigger, because it was not big enough for a too deep storefront, you know, situation behind, and then the sample panels and the greenhouse box. I think I just have too many ideas in my head sometimes, and so executing them, you know, sometimes it can be really hard to do. I try my best, but the great thing about Slumber Islands and doing like this rainbow series is I can have an entire 100 codes that are dedicated to green, which is awesome, but I also only have an acre to use them all in, so that part is the hard part. I did not use all of my custom codes that I had downloaded. I did not have enough space to use them all. And some of them I was really excited to use, but I mean, you only have so much space, so that is okay. And I did struggle with filling up the rest of the space up here on this. I wasn't sure whether to bring in weeds or just use a whole bunch of green mums. There's only one green flower in this game, and so just using green mums does make it a little bit limiting. And so I also had Tad and Henry on my island, and I was gonna have them walking around, and I totally forgot. So yeah, there's a couple things that I would have done differently, but that's okay. I think that every island, and every project that you do in Animal Crossing is a learning experience. And so this was definitely a learning experience for me. I am not always the most organized. I think my thoughts and my ideas just go all over the place sometimes. And so I have multiple things going through my head. And then when I try to put them down, it's like almost like a jumbled up, mixed up process. So, that part is unfortunate, but I do really love the color green, and I wish we had more green flowers in this game. I hope that eventually, at least with the next game, they might have more green flowers, but at least we have a lot of plants in the game, and so you can use those. It's just that we don't have a whole lot of green flowers to use, and that part is sad. But the green mum is my favorite flower in Animal Crossing, and I love using it. I tend to use it on almost every single island, but it is very bright, and so I wish that we had maybe a darker green or a more muted green or a lighter green, anything, other than just one bright green mum, because there's not a lot of items in the game that match that bright green mum, and so I didn't want to do a Slumber Island that was just plants and natural items and not any flowers, especially when it's my favorite flower in the game. It just means that mixing it with other greens it's kind of hard sometimes to mix it up with other greens, but at least the glowing moss matches it, and like the Keroppi snacks, they're a light green, so they match it. I absolutely love the Keroppi snacks so much. I love using those things. I think that the Keroppi, or however you say it, is my favorite Sanrio. Maybe not villager, but the items are my favorite. And I was also intending to use the Keroppi lantern and bridge, and I totally did not have the space to use it either. So, I think I could have done a whole entire large Slumber Island with this theme, just so that I could have used all of the items that I wanted to. But I definitely couldn't have fit that in one video, so that would have had to been a whole series in itself. But now I'm laying down the swamp path on the sides, and I absolutely love the dark green code. It kind of looks almost clear on the summer grass, because water on top of the summer grass would be darker green. And so I really absolutely love this swamp code, and I love that there's rounded edges. I thought of getting a swamp code that was more straight. It had straight edges, but it was so many pieces, and I just have a hard time transitioning the straight edge codes with the more natural 9-piece paths. It's just something that I always struggle with, but I did put as many of the bug models as I possibly could in that little swamp code there, and then I just tried to kind of transition the rest of the area with some of the glowing moss, some of the weeds, some wheat fields. The rounded edge of the swamp code looks really nice, next to the bamboo trees, and so I wanted there to be more. I wish that I had more space on the edges to do more of the swamp coat around the bamboo trees, but I did not. So I could have made the entire island flat and just used the swamp coat, but again, I just had too many ideas going. And I have the big cliffs in the front, and then I kind of have the swamp behind it. So maybe I should have done it the other way around. Maybe I should have had the swamp in the front and the cliffs behind it so that you could see it better. But hindsight is always 2020, right? So I would definitely have, probably changed some things. But I still like how these little cliffs look on their own. And I still love how the swamp code looks on its own. So there are definitely parts that I am really proud of with this build. And I do have a few of the glowing moss boulders around, so I did manage to fit in some of the glowing moss items, just not as many as I wanted to. They're definitely some of my favorite items in the game, and I do use them a lot. And I was gonna even bring in some glowing moss balloons, but I just never had I didn't have enough space. But now I am working on the right side of the island, and I'm going to do a very similar swamp over here on the right. And then I also decorated my beaches again off camera. I added a little bit more terraforming to the cliff by my house so that I could put a little waterfall coming down, and so I added a giant vine and another bamboo tree up here, and I really love how lush everything looks. And I love the blue hydrangea bushes, not just the blue, but I love the hydrangea bushes specifically when they're not in bloom because of how round and lush they look. They're just so green and round and lush, and I love them. But I did want to use as many of the mossy items as possible to go with the whole ruins theme, and I think that they fit really well with like a jungle ruins type vibe. So I did use a lot of the ruined seats and the ruined pillars, and I did go back in and add more of the glowing moss because I was trying to use some of the weeds, but I just like the glowing moss better. I don't know why, but I had this little froggy puddle code, and I actually managed to fit that in over here because I hadn't used it yet. And so I was really glad that I actually used it because that is an absolutely adorable code. And there's so many great green codes out there. There's so many more than some of the other colors. So I definitely don't know if I could do an entire like large island of all of the colors because some of them don't have as many codes or items in the game that match. But for green, I could definitely I could definitely do a whole big like green jungle island. It's one of my favorite themes because of how many plants and how green it is. But I did do a jungle island before, so I wanted to make it different with the whole swamp idea, and I do think it looks different. And I was able to use leaf items on this one, so that was also great. But that is pretty much the end of this build, so thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all of my members. I appreciate you guys so much. And we are back, and I have my helper here.
Hello.
You like your outfit?
Yes, I do.
You ready to do green?
Yes.
All right, let's go see what we did for green. It's kind of a jungle swamp type vibe.
Whoa.
So yeah, it's very like ruined and swampy, and
Ooh.
I really like this centerpiece. Hopefully it goes okay. I put as many bug models in the swamp as I possibly could. Let's go see the beach before we come back this way. It is a little scoochcore.
Okay. Where?
This way.
Oh, okay.
Let's go this way. It's very scoochcore. So I just did like a lot of ruined items, a lot of mossy items, and I used as many bug models as I could. There's bug models everywhere.
It is really scooch corner.
Yeah, and look! Panda picnic! You like it?
I do.
And then we can come back and see my house.
Did you decorate your house? I'm guessing not.
No, not on the inside. I meant, let's see the outside.
You go up here?
Yep.
Whoa.
I did a little plant shop.
Your bonsai tree. I always think of the bonsai tree when I look at that.
Yeah, it's even called a bonsai shelf. So that is exactly what it is. So I just did a lot of frog models and butterflies around the rock garden, and then we have some more.
Oh my gosh, I love this design right here.
The little froggy puddle.
Yes.
Me too. And then if you come this way, I think you'll be excited to see what's on this rock.
Team frog chair.
Yes, of course I had to do a frog chair on this island, this green island. I wanted to use more bamboo stuff, but I just did not have the space. So, alright, and then one more thing we have to see at the bottom of the beach.
Okay.
Very windy, jungly beach. Yeah, I did like a ruins. You can't get... you have to go this way. But I just put the Stonehenge and a lot of the ruined items, and I've used this green brick code that I hadn't used anywhere else on the island, so.
It's pretty.
You like the green?
Yeah.
Which color's your favorite so far?
Ooh. I really did like the yellow one. The bee.
Yes, I did too. It's gonna be hard to beat that, right?
Yeah.
But I love my green mums, and I love the jungle vibes. I don't know if the... we're just bouncing into each other. I don't know if this rock garden fits completely, but I love it.
Wait,
so.
follow me. I know where to go for the outro.
Oh, okay. I bet I know where you're gonna go.
Hi.
Yep. Okay. Wait, let me turn this. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
So we hope that you guys enjoyed.
Shall we say bye?
Yes.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Crispy, and today we are back on a Slumber Island. This is my Rainbow Slumber Island series, and so today we are doing blue, as you can see by my hair and my dress. I wore this dress on my butterfly island of Mariposa, and I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites, and I look like Lumi. My hair. My good friend Lumi Moon Plays has this hair, and she loves blue. So shout out to Lumi Moon Plays. If you haven't already, go and check her out. So I have a lot of beautiful custom codes. I did not make any of them, but I found this blue butterfly stone path that's really, really pretty, and I thought it would be perfect because one of the main blue bugs in this game is the emperor blue butterfly. So I I grabbed that code, and I grabbed this blue wildflower code that is absolutely gorgeous. I had this on Mariposa as well. And I have some planks and some rock fillers and some butterfly codes. I grabbed this really pretty plank path that has some blue flower accents. Gorgeous. And this nameless pond, which I really love. So I might have a few little ponds around, and then this flower path by the amazing and talented April Honey. And so I grabbed that. I might use that more on the beach. Not sure yet. And then of course I had to grab this butterfly pond because it is so pretty, and I use this on Mariposa as well. So and then some blue fabrics. So I'm excited. It's going to be probably very garden-like and fairy core because, of course, I do love fairy core, and a lot of the mushroom platforms go with fairy core. We will see how it comes out. So let's get started. All right. So for blue, I wanted to do something a little bit different than I have been doing for the other colors. And so I kind of wanted to create this winding path, this like walkway, and I wanted there to be water on both sides, and then I wanted it to lead to an incline that went up to where my house was. And I had got some inspiration off Pinterest. It was like a modded build, but it had the basic layout of what I was looking for. And so I was like, yes, that's what I want. And so I was just trying to create this walkway with some flowers and bushes lining it. And then I came in with the waterscaping. I do struggle sometimes with waterscaping and terraforming, but to create this winding walkway with waterscaping, I mean, it took me a minute. You know, you constantly have to adjust waterscaping until, you know, you've got something that you're proud of and that you're happy with, and so that was me. But I did get there in the end, and I really did like how it was coming out. It's just a lot of terraforming. So I'm sorry this one is a little bit longer, but I did have to basically terraform almost the whole island. And so that is what happened. It just kind of happened that way. I didn't really plan it that way, but it kind of happened that way. So I really do love this path with the blue butterflies on it. It's really, really pretty. And so I will have all of the codes listed in the description in case you want to use them yourself at some point. But I really did love this path. I wanted it to be the main path that I used because it does have the blue butterflies on it. And so even though I had a few other paths, I really wanted to use this one as a main one. And I was just trying to create this waterway, kind of like a little river or pond beside the winding path, and then I was going to lead it to some waterfalls coming down, and that's where the incline was going to be leading up to my house. So that is what I am working on. It did take me a minute to adjust the water and get it to how I wanted it. But I did get there in the end. It's almost looking like a duck right now. But it didn't in the end, I promise. The one thing that I could say with this build and this color, there is only 4, I believe, if I remember correctly, 4 blue flowers in this game. And so I did use the white windflowers and the white pansies because they have blue in the middle. So I thought it was okay to use them. And so just to kind of break up the blue a little bit, and just because I didn't have very many flowers to use, I did use the white of the two flowers. But I mean, I only used the green mums on the green island, so I don't know why I felt like it was so limiting. But I just felt like it was a little bit repetitious, but it's blue, so I just went with it. I embraced the repetition. I tried to break it up a little bit with the white flowers, but like I said, they did have blue centers, so I thought it counted. And I would have used other white flowers. I would have used like green mums or something, but I really wanted it to like be a blue island, so I didn't bring in any other flowers. But now I'm just starting to work on the waterfall cliff, the first one. And so I marked out where the waterfall was going to be on the first tier cliff, and then I started marking where the third tier cliff was going to be. And so that way I can count and make sure that the cliff is at least 3, well, that it's deep enough so that I can fit the third tier cliff up there. So it just helps me to go back and forth to be able to adjust it. So I did have to go up and down a little bit, but I was happy with how the water was looking at this point. It doesn't look like a duck, so that was good. But I did cut out a lot of this terraforming in the back because it was just completely all cliff. And so I didn't show all of that. I showed mainly just the terraforming with the waterfalls, and this is where I am going to mark with some custom codes where my incline is going to be. So an incline takes up 3 spaces, so I just wanted to mark out 3 spaces of custom codes so that I knew where the incline was going. And then I just kind of shaped the cliff around it. And I knew that I was going to have the space for my house up there. So I was just molding the cliffs around in the back. And I wasn't sure what incline I was going to use. I thought about using blue, and then I thought about using white. I ended up going with the white plank ramp just because I thought it was a little bit more elegant, and I don't know, I've never used the blue ramp before, so maybe I should have, but I just thought it matched really well, and since everything else was so blue, I just thought, you know, I'll use the white. But I've never used the blue ramp before. Let me know if you guys have used it and what your island colors were, because I've never used it before. But I guess on like a coastal island or something, maybe one that's tropical, it would fit really well. But now I'm just finishing off this little cliff where I'm gonna put the second tier of waterfalls coming down. And this was so high that, you know, you couldn't really see anything behind it. And so I thought about putting like a garden shed or something beside my house, but you wouldn't have been able to see it anyway. So I ultimately decided to extend this cliff back all the way to the back edge of the cliff. And I didn't do that at this point, but I do come in and do it at the end, just because it was so tall you weren't going to be able to see it anyway. And I really wanted the view from the walkway and from the entrance to be able to see that that double waterfall moment, you know? So I thought that that it was worth not being able to put anything behind that cliff up there, you know? And so I did struggle a little bit with my waterscaping. I'm laughing at myself because I'm like redoing it and then undoing it and then redoing it. But that's just me being indecisive. But I put some vines on the edges of the cliff, and then I was going to start on the other side, but I did want to just have this double waterfall in front of each of the cliffs, or coming down, I should say, from each of the cliffs. And I really love double waterfalls. It's one of my favorite things in the game. I love waterfalls. I do them as much as I possibly can on my islands, but this is just a 1 acre island. It's the smallest Slumber island, and so this cliff back here with my house on it and these double waterfalls takes up almost the whole island. So I don't know if I should have done quite as much terraforming as I did, but at this point I was committed. I had a vision and I was trying to go for it. So I don't know. Hopefully it turned out okay in the end. You guys can let me know what you think, but I really wanted this double waterfall moment. And why? I don't know why. I love double waterfalls, and I thought that with like the fairy garden vibe that it would look really pretty, and that it would look really pretty with the codes. So that is what I did. And I really like how the waterfalls came out and the walkway, and I like the codes and the color scheme. I'm just not so sure that I should have done quite this much terraforming on a small island. I don't know. Maybe I should have brought in some other builds. A lot of it was filler because I filled up all of the cliffs up there with just filler, with some large mush platforms and some trees and bushes and flowers. And I did bring in a few of the festival balloons because they have a blue version, and some of the glowing moss balloons, but it was mainly just filler up on the cliffs. I didn't really do a build beside my house because, as I said before, I didn't think you'd be able to see it anyway. And I had downloaded this garden shed code with some standees and some codes that you would put on some simple simple panels, if I can get the word right, simple panels. And so I had that code ready, but I was going to put it by my house, but then you wouldn't have been able to really see it behind the cliffs, so I ended up putting it on the beach instead. And I thought, oh, it's fine, I'll just put it on the back rocks, and that will be a great idea of a build to use on the back rocks, because I always struggle with what to put on the back rocks. And then I didn't even have room on the back rocks to be able to put it, because you got to put like simple panels in the back, and then you got to put a stall, and then you got to put the standees in front, so it looks like almost like a camper van. And so I did fit it on the beach, but it was like the bottom beach that was the biggest, so that's what I had to do in order to use the code. And I'm sad that I wasn't able to use the butterfly pond code. I I should have fit it in somewhere and I just forgot. I was so focused on trying to get this build done because I have been working on some other projects. I've actually started a couple 30-day islands, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna release them to everyone or just members, but I was really feeling a little bit burnt out, and so I thought the best way for me anyway to cure burnout is to start a new island. I love the new island vibes. It's, you know, some people don't like the beginning of the game. I love the beginning of the game. It's my favorite, my absolute favorite. I love it. I love map hunting, although I do have kind of a love-hate relationship with it because I love it, but also after like the I don't know, 20th reroll, I'm like over it and ready to just get to my island. But I did start a couple new islands, and so I've been working on those and trying to get those recorded. But there is a St. Patrick's Day challenge, a 20-acre St. Patrick's Day challenge that was created by Nana A's Gaming and Princess of Pineapples, and so I've been thinking about doing that. So if that is something that you guys would like to see, please let me know in the comments. I'm very challenge oriented. I love a good challenge, and so when somebody says challenge, I'm like there. My ears perk up, and I don't know why, it just makes the game fun for me. I love challenges. So I have been, you know, wanting to do that, and also wanting to do like a 30-day no custom codes island, just to be simple. I use a lot of custom codes. I rely heavily on custom codes. I don't know why, but I love using them, and so for me to not use custom codes, it is like unheard of. And so I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it. I still don't know, but I have started one just to see how it goes and to try to just make a simple island, like, you know, normcore 2020 vibes, just to bring back that nostalgic feeling when we first started Animal Crossing. And we didn't use custom codes because I didn't use custom codes for a while. I just used like in-game pathing. And so I have started an island. So if you're interested in that too, a no custom codes island, let me know, because I wasn't sure, you know, what people wanted to see next for me. I did finish my island of Neapolitan, and so that was a sweets themed Valentine's island, so I finished that, and so I'm kind of between islands right now, and I have a challenge coming out in April. But for the month of March, I am working on these Slumber islands and then possibly bringing out a 30-day island. So I would probably combine days because it's already March and we don't have 30 days left. But I would definitely be excited to show you guys if it's something that you want to see. But now I am just working on the pond. I decided to put a pond beside the waterfall area because, you know, sometimes there are shallower ponds beside like rivers or waterfalls, so it made sense in my brain, and I put a little blue dragonfly on it, and I had downloaded this swan umbrella code, and it's an absolutely gorgeous code. I love it so much, and it matches the water So again, I will put all the codes in the description, but I just love this pond. It's so beautiful, it's so blue, and I think it goes really well with the codes. And I was trying to do this little seat here beside the water, so I put a circle cushion there, but I ended up trading that out for a vine bench instead, because I just thought that it looked nicer by the water. I wasn't sure if just a lone circle cushion made sense, so I did switch that out. But I do love the plank path, and I love the little puddle with the blue flower that I have been using with the little duck on it. All of these codes are just so adorable, and I didn't get to use all of them, so that is unfortunate. But if I ever do another like fairy core island or butterfly island, I would definitely be getting these codes again, because I just thought that they were all really, really beautiful. And even the rock fillers have like little blue flowers on them, and so I thought that they were absolutely perfect for just filling in little areas where you didn't want to have just a whole bunch of blue flowers spammed on the ground. I was trying to use a bunch of flowers, but not just be so repetitive with them, you know? So I did my best, and I was just trying to fill in the space on this side of the waterfall. And I did put a skinnier version of the pond, like the water code over here on this side, but it wasn't exact, like the two sides are not completely symmetrical. I wanted them to be a bit different, and so I am using two different bushes on this island too. I've only been using like one bush on some of the other islands, but I did have a lot more options for flowers, and this island I've only had the 4 blue flowers and then the 2 white. So I thought I needed a green bush, you know, just to break it up a little bit. But I even thought about bringing in like some of the frozen pillars because they're blue, but I don't know. I just didn't think that ice would look, you know, like it fit in on a summer island. This island is set to June right now, and so the grass is very, very green, and so I just didn't think that a frozen pillar made sense. So I ended up just going with like a ruined pillar, and I was like, you know what, it's fine, because I'm gonna put a blue item on top of it. I put some butterfly models on top of the pillars, and I was like, you know, that is good enough. But I really did think that this area by the waterfall came out really pretty, and I was happy with how it came out. But I just don't know if I should have done quite as much terraforming in the back, but you know, it is what it is, and I did it, and so I'm not going to go back and change it. And I don't think that it looks bad. I just think that maybe I could have done more in terms of like builds, and maybe I could have fit like a blue butterfly garden or another butterfly pond or something. I just, you know, I didn't have the space, and I figured that I didn't, you know, you wouldn't be able to see it up on the cliff anyway with these waterfalls coming down. So I think it's fine. I did some of the glowing moss boulders on the sides with more butterflies, and I just did some bushes and flowers to finish that side off. And now I'm working on just decorating the waterfalls and that little ledge that I had left I decorated the rest of everything down below except for this little ledge. So it didn't take me too long at all, but I did kind of decorate myself into, I got stuck a few times, and so I had to like pick stuff back up that I had just placed so that I could get out. Because I don't think rescue services actually works on Slumber Islands. I think someone actually tried that. I can't remember, but correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm remembering incorrectly. But I just hope that I was, you know, bug themed enough on this island. I tried to use as many of the blue butterflies and the blue dragonflies as I possibly could, and my path has butterflies on it, so hopefully it's like a multi-theme Slumber Island, which is fine. I am okay with multi-themes, but for blue, I had to go fairy core. It was speaking to me, and when I think of blue and butterflies, I think fairy core. So because of the bug models that I had to use, I just figured that this was the way to go, and I will probably end up doing something similar with the purple, but obviously I'm gonna have to try to make it different in terms of terraforming and codes and everything. But when I think of purple, I think of fairy core as well, and I believe there's only 2 bug models that are purple. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the purple emperor butterfly, and then I think there's like a dung beetle, not the one that shows up in winter, but the boring one, or earth boring dung beetle. I think that's what it's called. I believe it's purple, so that may be the only 2. I'm pretty sure. So I'm gonna have to use those 2, and so I mean, I could do like a lavender farm, but also I just think of fairy core when I think of purple and butterflies. And my butterfly island, before I changed it to the monarch colors, it was actually blue and purple. And I really do love how it came out. But when I first wanted to do a butterfly island, I was picturing the monarch colors and the monarch theme. So I ended up going back to that and resaving my dream address. So, but I really do love how this like color scheme looks, and I love the blues and the purples for fairy core. It's like my favorite. I've done a couple fairy core islands now. I've done my blue and green fairy core island of Terabithia, and then I also did Mariposa in a fairy core theme, like I said, before I changed it to the monarch colors. But I'm just filling in this cliff here with a bunch of filler, and I liked that it gave more height. I was afraid that with the waterfall stopping where it was, that it just wasn't going to give as much height. You know, with the trees and the giant vine and the pillars, it just gives a lot more like height and depth. So that's what I was trying to achieve. And I thought that nestling my house in between these 2 cliffs would just make it look, you know, a little bit more intentional than trying to fit something behind the cliffs that you weren't even going to be able to see. So hopefully it looks okay. And hopefully my house customization looks okay. I struggled with that because I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but when you go to customize your house in this game, I feel like nothing matches. Like the sidings don't match with the roofs, and then the roofs don't match with the doors, and so it's like you're trying to get a certain color scheme and you want like a door to match the siding or the windows, and it's sometimes hard to get it to match. So hopefully it looks okay. But I absolutely love the path that April Honey made, the little flower path. It's one of my absolute favorites, and it looks really good on June grass. So I don't know if it was meant for spring or for summer, but I thought it looked really good. But we are almost finished filling up this cliff. This is the last thing I had to fill in before I did the beaches off camera. And then we will be finished. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope that I did the blue emperor butterfly justice. I also had the common blue bottle. Yeah, I think that's what its name is. And the dragonfly. But I hope that you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all my members. I appreciate you guys so much. And I will show the final walkthrough and how it came out and all the beaches in just a moment. And let me know, about the 30-day islands in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And we are back, and I have my helper here, but he's not here.
Yeah, sorry.
He's about to go to archery, so we're gonna just do this final walkthrough real quick. So I did blue today.
Yay.
And so I did this like walkway, and look at this path that has like blue butterflies on it.
Ooh, that's pretty. Blue is my second favorite color.
So up here is basically just cliff fillers and my house, because I figured if there's really tall cliffs here, you won't be able to see behind it anyway. So that is what I did on each side of that. And then I have a few of these little ponds and a little picnic area down here.
Aww.
And then I just did a path with some butterflies, and I had a hard time decorating the rocks because they were like kind of skinny, but
You do me a favor real quick.
sit on the...
Yes.
Because that's what you would do,
Yay.
right? There we go. Oh, and wait, what do you do to make the face?
I tried to scoot over, but I can't.
Oh, when I press over, it does that.
Here, give me the controller.
Oh, like
Yeah,
that. Gotcha. Okay, yeah. He loves to make the face.
I
Okay.
do. Vroom, vroom.
And then on this side, I did like a little crescent moon chair, another little pond, and I put a gazebo back here with a little platform.
It's a blue bunny.
Yes,
bunnies.
and one blue bunny. I did not have enough room to put all of the codes that I wanted to use, but then here
It's a flower shop.
we have a little garden stand.
Oh.
I wanted to put this on the back rocks, but it would not fit because my rocks are so skinny for some reason.
You get strong at times.
But yeah, so there you go. And so yeah, that is the Blue Island. So shall we say bye?
Yeah. All right. Bye. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Crispy, and today we're back on my Slumber Island. This is my Rainbow Slumber Island series, bug themed, and so today we are doing purple, of course, as you can see by my outfit. And the main star of the show, I think, will be the great purple emperor butterfly, because it's one of the only ones. Maybe the agrius, because I think it does have some purple in it. But yeah, it's going to be pretty butterfly themed again. And I do have a lot of custom codes. I have this beautiful moonbeam path. It's one of the prettiest purple paths that I could find. And so I thought purple butterfly fairy core, this would fit. And then I have a lot of purple flower fillers. I have some purple flower planks, and I did have this stone brick path on my other butterfly island of Mariposa, and I used it around a butterfly garden. So I was thinking about doing the same on this island. And then I have this purple flower path and this purple stone path that I might use on the beach. And I'm not so sure about this one, but I did grab it. And then I have some more purple planks, a purple flower ring. That is absolutely gorgeous. This was made by the wonderful, talented April Honey. And I have a few purple butterflies, some purple planks, and I grabbed this butterfly pond again because I know it's blue, but I could put a shell stool in the middle and it looks like a really pretty butterfly, and the shell stool comes in a purple version. So if I use this one, I will do that. And then I have a couple lavender codes and some fabrics. So I don't know if I'll use all these codes. I don't know if some of them were meant for spring and some for summer. I don't know how they're going to look together, but we are going to figure it out and see how it goes. All right, so the first thing I did was start out with the path. I wanted to create another centerpiece because I don't know why. I think that centerpieces go well on by the entrance, and since the dock is like 4 wide, I don't know what else to really do with the entrance area. So I added another centerpiece, and I put the rose bed in the center because it's a 2x2 item, and I really wanted to use the glowing moss pond, but there was no way to center it because it's like a 3x3 item instead of a 2x2 item. So I used the rose bed instead. And I love purple. I love these codes, but it is very hard to do purple, y'all. It was so hard. I do love the color purple, I really do, but I also like to use other colors, and so there's not as much purple in this game, and I wasn't sure if I loved the path. I think it's a beautiful path, don't get me wrong, but I was just struggling with it and wasn't sure whether I liked it enough, if it was too much, if it was too bright. I just wasn't sure. So I was trying to add a few things around, like some arches and some stools to put the butterflies on, because I really wanted to add some kind of butterflies somewhere at the entrance. And so I was like, well, maybe I could use the shell arches and put them all around this centerpiece, but it was just covering up the centerpiece too much. And I tried the butterfly just on the ground. I tried a stone stool. I tried the mush stool. I tried the simple stool. I think I tried almost every single stool that you can place a butterfly on, and I wasn't really liking any of them. But sometimes in Animal Crossing, it's just trial and error, right? You just gotta keep trying different things to see if you like it. I do love the mush stools usually, but the mush log stools, but they're just so tall, right? So I was thinking, well, maybe the simple stool is a little bit lower to the ground. Maybe it would look better. And I just wasn't sure if it made enough sense. I don't know. And then I put the moon chair in the back, thinking maybe that would look good back there. And I used the new little planter items, and it wasn't that I didn't like it. I just wasn't sure if it was the path that wasn't really resonating with me, or if it was the items that I was putting down. And so I decided to leave it for the moment and to start trying to keep decorating like around it. And then I decided that I was gonna try changing the path out. And I did go back to my island and I downloaded another one. It was like a really light purple color, but I don't know. I think it would have looked better on the sand, on the beaches. And so I didn't actually like that one as much. And then I ended up trying the purple flower path that I had downloaded, and I liked that one the best. And I love that lantern, the new lantern arch that we got. I love it so much, but I don't like the stand. So I almost like to use it behind something so that the stand is kind of hidden. So I did take that out. I didn't end up using it. But then I started marking out where I was going to put a butterfly garden. And I did do this on my butterfly island of Mariposa. I absolutely love the butterfly garden. Whoever came up with this design is just a genius because it's beautiful. And I think you could probably do it in the winter as well, but I just don't like when there's snow on the bushes. I think it looks best when you have green bushes. So I prefer it in the spring or in the summer so that you can have that really nice green bush outline. And so I'm just marking out the outside of the butterfly wings with in-game pathing, and that's where I'm going to add the bushes. And so it just makes it a lot easier to know where to put the bushes down if you mark it out first with the in-game pathing. And now you can see the really pretty butterfly shape. It does take up quite a bit of space though. I thought about doing one of these on one side and then one on the other and then putting my house in between, but unfortunately I did not have the space. So I put one here and then I ended up building up a little bit of a cliff just because I thought that the Slumber Island needed some kind of terraforming and not just be all completely flat. But I was just adding a mixture of the purple flowers. I did the lighter colors of the hyacinths and the mums around the outside, and then in the middle I used the darker purples, like with the windflower and the pansy. And I thought it was really pretty. I absolutely love flower gardens and butterfly gardens. And so I really wanted to use this on one of my Slumber Islands. I have been meaning to use it like on every single color that had that color butterfly because it's one of my favorite designs. But I just never really made the space to do it and did too much terraforming to allow for it. So I made sure that I did it for purple. And I thought about putting this at the entrance, but unfortunately the middle of this is one tile wide, and so it wouldn't have centered because the dock is like 4 wide, and so it would have been off center, and it would have probably driven me and everybody else crazy. So then I just put this stone and brick path around it and outlined it, and it made a very pretty butterfly garden, and I was very happy with how it came out. It is not my design. I saw it on Pinterest, and I'm sure that you've probably seen it before as well, but if you haven't, if you search up butterfly garden, that's probably what you're gonna get. And then I decided to use the little ruined seats for the butterflies at the entrance, and I liked that a lot better. I guess it was because they're lower to the ground and they look like they're supposed to be outside. They're kind of white. They still have some green, so I think they match everything really well. And so that is what I used. And I did not have a whole lot of space for my house in the back, but I did just put it up on a cliff just so there was, you know, a little bit of height, a little bit of terraforming on this Slumber Island. I thought about doing like a windy land bridge going all the way towards the entrance, but I just didn't really have the space on either side. And so I decided to do these little butterfly ponds. I used the code that I had downloaded, and I put the little shell stools in the middle, and I just did kind of a little pattern with a 2x2 circle in between. And I thought that it was really pretty. I was gonna do one towards the bottom of the Slumber Island where I am now, and then I was gonna put another one above it, but unfortunately I didn't have the space to put 2 of these. But it just makes a cute little pattern with 4 of the butterfly ponds and then this little 2x2 circle in the middle. And I think that it's really pretty. I've seen other people do different 2x2 items in the center, like a frozen tree and the rose bed, and I've seen a few different versions of this, but I decided to just do the 2x2 circle in the center, and then I did another one of the little ruined seats and butterflies, and I thought that it was really pretty. It's like a butterfly garden feel, and you can still scooch around and walk around this area, but it filled in some space. It brought in more of the butterfly theme, and it's really pretty. So that is what I did. And then I was struggling with what to put above it because I didn't have space for another one of these. And so I tried out a few different things. I put in a couple trees and flowers, and I was really struggling with what to do because I had tried to add some little waterfalls around, and I just didn't have the space for that. And so I'm starting out decorating around my house. I just kind of left that area for the moment because I wasn't sure what else to do. So sometimes if I just leave it alone and I come back to it, then I can kind of think of something to do. And so I put this little flower path beside my house because I was going to add a Moroccan sofa and a little Moroccan table, and I was going to put the moon chair behind it, but I didn't know if I liked that very much, so I decided to add the plank path instead. This little white plank with the purple flowers. I just thought that it fit better. I had it under my doorstep, and so that is what I did. And I left out the moon chair and just did the Moroccan sofa and a table. And I had my house white with a purple roof and a purple door because there's only one siding that I could find that was purple. I think there might be one on like a Japanese style house, but I don't usually go for that one because it's just not my style, and that's not really the style of this theme, this Slumber Island theme. So I had looked for another one, and the only other one that I could find was the one with the double roof, and it was kind of pink and purple, and it really wasn't the same kind of coloring that the rest of the Slumber Island was and the codes. So I decided to just go with the white siding and do the purple roof and the purple door. I am a little bit confused why we have purple roofs and doors and we don't have very much purple siding, because like on the version of the house that I'm using, there is no purple siding, so it's a little bit strange. It is hard to match your house in this game, and I was also struggling with what to put below this planks. I had two little spaces here, so I decided to use a little bit of the flower path instead, and I was trying to cover up the edge with some log stakes, but I didn't think that the log stakes made sense with the simple wooden fence, so I decided to just add another little simple wooden fence there instead, and called it good, because sometimes lines and edges are difficult to cover up. But I did not have very much space up here at all, and I wanted to try to add a tree, but only one fit. And then I think I had a little tiny one at the front, but I didn't have space for anything else really, so I just filled in the rest of the cliff with some bushes and flowers and called it good, because I thought that the butterfly garden was more on theme and I really needed that to go down on the island, and so my house and the decorations around it were secondary to, you know, what was down there. But I did add a festival balloon because it came in purple and it added some height, so I thought that was really cute, but I still wasn't sure what to put between the incline and down below where the butterfly ponds were. I was like, what do I put here? I thought about adding a path, but I didn't want to lose the circle shape of the entrance, so I didn't know if I should do a path or if I should do something else, if I should fill it all in. I just wasn't sure, but ultimately I decided on a picnic. And I just needed to make sure that you could walk through the picnic area so that you could still get to the beach, because there was really not too much space to get to the beach anywhere else, on the left side anyway. So I put down this blanket code that has like a lavender on it. It's really pretty. I found the code on Pinterest, and just like the other Slumber Islands, I will put all of the codes that I used in the description below. I did not use all of the codes again, unfortunately. There's not enough space on a single acre Slumber Island to use all of the codes, but I did use quite a bit of them, and even though I struggled with this color and this island, I'm really happy with how it came out. I think it was really pretty. I just hope that some of the areas where multiple paths come together, I hope it's not too much and too busy. I just tried to cram as many purple themed builds and butterfly builds into one Slumber Island that I possibly could. So I probably wouldn't have put so much this close together on a regular island, but when you're just doing a small slumber island, you just try to fill it with as much of the theme as you can. So I did decide to bring in some teddy bears again. I love a teddy bear picnic. It's one of my favorite things. And I did start a bear island. It was all bear island, and I started it and never finished it. So I'm going to have to bring back that island one of these days because I was really loving it. I got to the entrance and I think I just started a different challenge and then never went back to it. But one of these days it will come back because I still have the island saved. So, but there's not a lot of food items that come in purple. So I customized the snack bag with a purple code. And then I put like a purple mug on the ground. And I think later I did come back and add a few cushions, but I wanted you to be able to walk by there to get to the beach. So I didn't want to completely block it off, but then I just had to decide what to do beside the picnic because I had like a 2x2 area before you get to the incline. And so I was like, well, what do I put there? I don't want to break up my path. So I decided to add that plank path again. And I think that it transitions the area a little bit better. Now you can see it's added there. And I think that it fits in, pretty nicely. I just didn't want to lose that circle design of the flower path because I just really liked the circle design. I don't know why, but now I'm just filling in the area beside the cliff and the butterfly garden with some filler area, some natural decor, some bushes and flowers. And then I started on the bottom right hand corner. And that, I think, is all I had left. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to put down there because a waterfall just wasn't fitting. I didn't have space for like a double tier waterfall and all of the water that comes down off of it. So I decided on a lavender farm, and at first I thought maybe I would do like some kind of a fake building, but I really didn't have space for a lavender farm and a fake building. So I just did some diagonal lines of pathing, and I did the hyacinths that are the closest thing we have in the game to lavender. And I had downloaded this lavender sign code, and I thought that I had grabbed like a lavender crate code, but I didn't. And so I didn't really want to go back to my island and search for that code again. And so I just left it out. But I did use like the sign, and I used some garden wagons, and I used some of the stacked bags, and I used the milk the milk can item, and I customized that with like a photo of a lavender. I think it was the middle tile of the lavender blanket code that I used for the picnic area, and that's what I put on the milk can. And I thought it turned out pretty cute. I used some wheat fields to cover up the lines between the paths, and it also covered up the edges of the path. And this path was made by April Honey, and it has really pretty purple flowers in it on the edges, and it's just beautiful. So if you want any of these codes, like I said, I will add them to the description. But I had seen a few inspiration photos that had the milk can and it had some of the stacked bags, and I just thought that that was a great idea, especially with the lavender farm. And the garden wagon is probably my favorite item in the game, so I definitely wanted to use it. And it does have some purple, light purple flowers on it, so that was good. And luckily the simple wooden fence comes in purple, because, you know, some of the colors that I have done, they did not have many fence options at all. But luckily I was able to use the simple wooden fence. It's one of my favorite fences to use, actually, because I love using the white version because it looks like a pretty little white picket fence. And I love the purple version as well. It's a really cute little fence that's not too tall and it doesn't hide so much. But I just did these diagonal lines going down and filled in the rest of the space and dotted some wheat fields around and some butterflies around, because there was butterflies actually flying over a lot of the bushes and flowers on this island. And even though they weren't like one of the purple ones, that it was mostly the common blue bottle, I thought it was really pretty and almost like the polishing effect that you can do at HHP. And while I was struggling building this island, I was hanging out in Discord with my good friend Lumi Mood Plays, and she was helping me brainstorm ideas for what to do and how to fill in some space. So shout out to Lumi Moon Plays, because she helped me a lot, and she saw some of the butterflies like flying over the bushes and flowers, and she was like, how did you do that? And I'm like, it wasn't me, you know, it's not some kind of a magic act. It was just that they loved the bushes and flowers. But there was two of them that were kind of like in unison, right beside each other. They were flying in like a circle pattern, and it did look like the polishing effect because it was just so in unison with each other. It was really pretty. And I wish that I'd grabbed like a photo or a short little video of it, but we were just kind of mesmerized, and so I don't think I actually got it on camera. But I think this little lavender field really filled in the space nicely. Hopefully it still all flows together. I know that it kind of is a lot to look at and a lot of different patterns, so I just hope that it goes well together and it's not too much. I just wanted to try to use as many purple builds and as many butterfly, you know, type builds as I possibly could, just to go with the theme. But now that I have almost finished, I would like to ask if you guys would like to see pink, because that's probably the only other color that I would do. So if you want to see an all pink Slumber Island next, let me know in the comments. But we are almost finished with the build. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to all my members. I appreciate you guys so much, and I'll show you how the beaches came out in just a moment. And we are finished, and my helper is actually at an archery tournament this weekend, so I'm all by myself. But I thought I would show you how it came out. So I did put a few purple villagers around. I was going to do this with each color, but I totally just kept forgetting. But I added Etoile and Cleo, and I added Bob and Judy. So those were just the purple villagers that I had. I know Judy is kind of more pastel, but yeah, this is how it came out. I really am happy with it. I do think that it's a little bit crazy in some areas with paths, but I fit as much of on this island as I possibly could. So hopefully it looks okay. I really love this butterfly garden back here and all of the purple. I think that the purple flowers in this game are just so pretty. And then we have the lavender farm here that Cleo is checking out. She's so cute. But then my beaches, I just put this little painting area over here because I had this lilac painting design that I hadn't used yet. So I put a little painting area down here, and then I just put the plank path going all the way to the back rocks, and I added some butterflies around. There's Judy. She does have some purple on her, so. And then I just added a little more lavender decor on this back beach because I hadn't used the pergola yet, so I added that back there. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to see pink next. That would be probably the next color that I would do. But on this side, I used this path that I was struggling with at the entrance. And I added a whole bunch of shell items because the shell items do come in purple and I think they're so pretty. I've never used them before. So I added a double crescent moon chair here and I'll sit on it in honor of my helper who isn't here, but he's here in spirit, and I just didn't want to wait until he got home, like, you know, Sunday night and try and finish this off. But then this area here is one of my favorites. I added some shell beds and some shell lamps, and I added this little bench with some snacks and some shell partitions, and I really like it. It's not a style that I usually do, but you know, it's purple, and so I really think that the beaches came out pretty with this color. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed. I'll show my helper the finished product whenever he gets home, but thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you want to see pink next. Bye everyone. Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Crispy, and today we are back on my Slumber Island for the final color of the rainbow. We have been doing a Rainbow Slumber Island series, bug themed, and today is pink. And I'm not sure if there's any other pink models other than the orchid mantis, so this is going to be a little bit difficult, but I figured I would just go with like pink and floral vibes because it's an orchid mantis. I don't know, but I do have a lot of paths. I wasn't sure. Dang it, I forgot to bring them over. 1 second. Alright, so that's better. I just forgot to transfer them over, but I have this fairy flower path. I tried to combine those two words. Words are hard, but I used this on my 10-day cherry blossom island. I absolutely love this path. It comes in a few different colors. The pink version is just beautiful. I think there's also like a reddish version and a blue version, and it's just, I love it. It's not too pink, but it has just enough pink. And then I got these rock fillers with some pink flowers. I also have a cherry blossom path and some pink flower fillers, cherry blossom puddle. And then I got this really pretty water code, Hanami Pond. I think that's how you say it. It is gorgeous. I also had this on my 10-day cherry blossom island, and I think I'm going to put this at the entrance. And then some pink fabrics and blankets. I got these heart plank code because I used this on my sweets Valentine themed island of Neapolitan. I love this wood code. And then this flower path by the amazing and talented April Honey. I got this plank path, which I also used on my Cherry Blossom Island. I got a lot of these codes from my Cherry Blossom Island because, hey, I already did a pink island and I loved it. And so why not use some of the same codes and not have to hunt as much, you know? And then I got this rock path that has some pink flower fillers. I have like 5 paths. I don't think I'm going to use them all, but I honestly don't know which one I'm going to like the best. And I might use some, you know, in different areas. So I have 5, which means I don't have a lot of space for other codes, but I do have several pink fabrics, and I got this lattice design because I might do it on some simple panels or something. I don't know. We will see. There was a lot of codes that I didn't have space for. So if I end up not using one of these paths, then I may go back and grab, you know, something else that I need. But I don't play around with my codes beforehand. And so I just have to try to test them out and start and just see what happens. I just wing it. So yeah, let's just get started. Alright, so the first thing that I did was a diagonal bridge, and when I make a diagonal bridge, I mark it out with in-game pathing, diagonal little dots that are 2 spaces apart. It just helps me be able to do a diagonal bridge like pretty much the first try and not have to keep like, you know, finagling it, working on it, chopping more water. So this is what I do that helps me put in a diagonal bridge the quickest way. And this is my second attempt at starting this Slumber Island because I had started out with the pond code at the entrance like I said that I wanted to do, and I had like a 2 wide walkway with the plank code that I had found. I found it, and then I wanted to use the heart one instead, and I ended up going back and getting the pink one that I found originally because it went better with the water code. And so I started out by making the pond and the walkway leading to like a castle build, and I put my house up there, and then I remembered that a player's house is 5 wide and you can't center it. So I decided to redo it, and I took everything down and I did this natural entrance instead with the diagonal bridge and a cliff with waterfalls coming down, just because the castle build was not going to center, and I was, you know, being really OCD about it. So I just don't like it when things don't center, and it drives me crazy. So I decided to do this instead, and so I didn't end up using the pond code. I did use it on my Cherry Blossom Island in front of the entrance, but I just couldn't make it work with the entrance that I had here. It's unfortunate that the dock on Slumber Islands are like 4 tiles wide, because it just makes it hard to do you know, anything centered basically, especially with player houses because they're 5x4. But I do like how this came out. It's natural. It's, you know, more in my wheelhouse, I guess. But I did like the pond code with the castle build. And so if I was doing an entire Cherry Blossom Island where I could put the museum somewhere else, then I would definitely do that pond code and a castle build again. But yeah, I just decided to do the waterfalls and the diagonal bridge that leads to a path and goes to my house. And when I decided to do pink, because there was an interest in me doing the pink version of this, I forgot that there was only like 2 bug models that were pink. And so I wasn't really sure how to go about doing a orchid mantis themed Slumber Island. So I just tried my best with what I had to work with in the game. I decided that an orchid mantis looks like a cherry blossom petal. And so since we don't have orchids in the game, that the cherry blossom umbrella and like some of the pink flowers, like the pink lilies, might be the closest things in game that we have to orchids. And so I just used a lot of the pink flowers, the cherry blossom items, and a lot of the cherry blossom umbrellas. And I thought that, you know, it's very floral, very gardeny. It probably does look a lot like my cherry blossom island because I did use this path on my cherry blossom island, but I absolutely love this path. It is so pretty. It goes so well with a cherry blossom island, and I really love the cherry blossom season. So I did use as many of the orchid mantises as I could, and I put them all around. I also used the Agrius butterfly because I thought that, you know, since it has pink too in the wings, that I would also use it. But I tried to use mostly the orchid mantis because it's all pink, and the only all pink bug model that we have in the game. And I think I have used it before on an island, but I can't remember actually using it. So I want to say I've used it before, but I don't remember. It may have been on an island that I never finished, but they are really pretty and they look like flowers. So I just went with the whole flower theme and garden theme on this island, and I put some little teddy bears around because I think of spring and teddy bears, and it really makes me miss my all bear island that I started. That was gonna be a teddy bear themed island, so I really need to go back to that one of these days. I keep saying that, but I would have to probably restart it or completely voice it over because it was gonna be an island that I decorated like all at once and just had one long video of decorating the whole island, but that never came to fruition. So I would have to go back and voice it over and change what I said or just restart it. And I really did like how my entrance came out on that island, but also it's hard to go back to an island that you started so long ago. So I don't know. I'm just struggling on what to do next between now and April because I have a challenge coming out in April, and so I was going to do a St. Patrick's Day island, but I don't know if I have time for that. That would be so grindy to try to do that in just a few days, and even till the end of March there's not a lot of time left, so I don't know. But I built up this big cliff. I'm just not even talking about what I'm doing, and I was going to do this heart-shaped sunken waterfall in the back, and so I'm trying to just eyeball it and remember how I did it on my Valentine's Island. And at first it was just like a sunken heart, and then I thought it should be a sunken waterfall, and so I did go in and tweak it and change it to where I could do a sunken heart waterfall. and I put an incline going up to where my house was going to be, and now I am coming in with the waterscaping. So this is tricky to get it to do the way that you want it to. Waterscaping can be very fiddly sometimes, but if you just do every other tile diagonally and then you come in with the waterscaping in between so that you're going in at a diagonal angle, you'll get the clean lines around the edges. And I had these curved edges at the top, and I had to go back in and make those straight because I wasn't getting the final edges that I wanted at the top, but I just had forgotten at this point how to make it straight, or that I needed to make it straight, I should say. So I didn't at this point, but I also ran out of space on my laptop when I was recording this. So it had stopped recording and told me that I was out of space and I needed to make some space. So I had to delete a bunch of stuff, old footage that I just needed to get rid of. But that was the Sunken Heart waterfall. And then I put my house to the left of it, and I of course customized my house in all pink. There are so many more pink options for house customizations than there is the purple. But this is the plank code that I had changed from the heart one, and I didn't end up using the pond like I said, so I did go back and grab the heart-shaped planks. I just haven't I haven't done the beaches yet. I will do the beaches next after I finish this voiceover, so I will change out the planks when I go back. But I had just tried to finish editing the whole speed build and decorating the whole island so that I could finish that before bed, and I did manage to finish it. It was like 11 or so by the time I finished, but I did manage to finish the build, so I'm very happy that I was able to get it done. Sometimes these 1 acre slumber islands seem to take way longer than they should. And this had a lot of terraforming because of the waterscaping I did at the entrance, and then I ended up putting some waterfalls coming down into the waterscaping, and then I put my house on the cliff, and I did the Sunken Heart waterfall, and so that took up the majority of this slumber island. And I did struggle a bit with the side of my house. I had put this tree here towards the front of the cliff, and I was trying to fill in the space behind it, but nothing that I was doing I was liking. There was like gaps between the tree and the house that I wasn't liking. I was trying to fill it in with a planter and a pillar with like the umbrella code on top, and it wasn't coming out how I was wanting. There was still too much of a gap and too much space in the back there. I tried a mush parasol. I tried a lot of different things that weren't working the way that I wanted them to, and even some topiaries. And so I ended up moving the tree back, and then I was able to fill in the rest of the space the way that I wanted to, and I didn't have so much of a gap, and I did like this a lot better. So sometimes it just takes some trial and error with some different things, and trying it out, seeing what I like best, because I usually just wing it. I don't always have something pre-planned. I just kind of decorate as I go, I should say. but I do like it a lot better with the tree moved back. It's just some little things like that sometimes, some little changes that can just really, you know, make you a lot happier with your build. And so now I'm just decorating the rest of the area. I really love Sunken Heart waterfalls, and as long as you can do the waterscaping the way that you're meant to do it, it's really not too difficult to do. It's just that you have to break out the water in a certain order so that you get the straight lines. Otherwise, you'll have a lot of bumpy, you know, jagged lines that you're not as happy with. But I just decorated the outside of the Sunken Heart waterfall with a bunch of bushes and flowers and filled in the space, and I used all of the pink flowers on this island. I am not a huge fan of the bright hot pink like tulip or cosmo, but it does work well with certain themes. I am using them on my Alice in Wonderland island because it is really bright colors, and so it works really well. But for like a cherry blossom island, I prefer the soft pinks that match the trees. And so I typically go with like the hyacinth and the mum and the lily and the rose instead of the bright hot pink cosmo and tulip. But I figured if this is an all pink island, I should probably just use all pink flowers. So I did. And I am happy with how it came out. It was just a lot of terraforming, which took up a lot of time. So I did cut a lot of that out. Otherwise, you know, this video would have been over an hour long because it was like 50 something minutes and I cut it down to like 30. It might be just over by the time we do the outro, but it's a lot better than it was. But I am just putting a plank path leading over to my house. I put a little teddy bear picnic over by the sunken waterfall, and I wanted you to be able to walk over there, so I just did the plank path that kind of tells you that you can walk over this way, and that way it's accessible, and I didn't just decorate myself into a corner where I can't get to. And sometimes I do that and not think about, you know, somebody might actually want to walk over there and look at that, you know. And sometimes it's just filler and you're not really supposed to walk that way, but I usually use a path or a plank path if you are meant to walk over to a certain area on one of my islands and see something. But I really love the colors on this island. I love cherry blossom season. I had a lot of fun doing a 10-day cherry blossom island, but it did almost break me. It was so much work to finish an entire island in 10 days. Oh my gosh. But I put this little pink and white rock code because I hadn't used it yet over here by my house, and I put a little seating area on top of the rock code. I really love that rock code and I wanted to use it, so I decided to use it over here. And I put a little garden wagon beside my house because it's very floral and it's one of my favorite items in the game. I absolutely love it. But this island is a very floral, and I think that the orchid mantis really fits that vibe. So hopefully it's still in theme. It's really difficult to do certain themes of the bug models, you know, because we don't have a lot of items that match what, you know, they are. I think butterflies are a lot easier, or honeybees versus like an orchid mantis or a leaf bug. But I did try. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Rainbow Slumber Island series. I enjoyed it. It was a bit challenging at times when some of the colors of the bug models, are harder to do themes for, but I did try my best. And over here by the entrance, I decided to put a big picnic area because I didn't know what else to put over here. And so I just put down a big picnic area, and I used a kid's tent and some of the teddy bears, and I absolutely love teddy bear picnics. It's one of my favorite things to do on natural islands, and I thought that a kid's tent would fill in a big picnic blanket pretty nicely. So I used the white version just because there is a pink version of the kids tent, but it is very bright. And so I think that the white version goes better with like soft pink colors. And so I decided to use the white one instead. And then beside the cliff, I decided to do this bug flower field with some of the orchid mantises and butterflies, and just kind of make like a flower garden with the orchid mantis and the butterfly. And I mean, it filled in a skinny space that I didn't know what else to put, so I thought, why not just use more of the bug models? And so that is what I did. I don't know what I'm going to do yet on the beaches because I haven't done them yet, but I'm sure I'll come up with something. Some of these themes have been easier to do beaches on, and some have not been as easy. But I do like doing the beaches on these little Slumber islands because, I mean, it's kind of a small island, so I figure, I should do the beaches, even though beaches are not my favorite. But I absolutely love the strawberry patterns that I grabbed for this island. There's one creator that I found on X, it used to be Twitter, and they have done a lot of different strawberry codes and pink codes, and they did the white and pink rock path that I grabbed, and a lot of these fabrics, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. Some people are just so talented. And April Honey did the flower path that I'm using, and it is just, it's so beautiful. I absolutely love it. I wish that I could make custom designs like some people, but I've tried, and it has been really, really hard. It takes up a whole lot of time, and I just wasn't really happy with how they came out. I think other people are so much more talented, so I tend to not really enjoy doing custom designs because I just don't feel like it's my strong suit, and so I will leave that to the amazing, talented custom code creators out there, because I just really struggled with making my own custom codes. I did try on my hard mode island, and it was really, really difficult. So I did it once. I don't think that I will do it again anytime soon because it was so hard and took up so much time, and I just wanted to quit because I didn't like how it was coming out. So I guess it's something that I could practice with at some point, but I just haven't had the motivation to do it. So, but we are finished with this left hand side. I'm just adding a few cherry blossom petal piles. I don't know why they're so small compared to the other leaf piles, but they are. And I decided to fill in the rest of the space with a waterfall. Shocker, right? But I just kind of wanted to tie in the water that was on the left side of the bridge. And so I put this little waterfall here, and it filled in the space pretty nicely. I decided to do just one tier because 2-tier was just, there wasn't enough space. I wasn't able to bring the water where I wanted it to, and so I ended up taking it out and just doing a 1-tier waterfall instead. And that's okay. I do love double, waterfall areas, but the little single ones are also really pretty, and it gives some variation. So, and it filled in the space nicely. So I just pretty much filled in the rest of the area with some natural decor. Because I am using a whole bunch of flowers and natural decor on this island. So that is what I did, and I did leave a plank path that goes to the beach, so that we will be able to get to the beach when we get there. And I'll probably do some more picnic areas on the beach, because I just think of picnic areas when I think of springtime. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do a springtime island or if I'm just going to do some maybe spring themed slumber islands. I'm just not so sure. It's so hard to decide if you want to commit to like a whole island for a theme, or if you just want to do like slumber islands. And there are so many advantages to working on slumber islands. I love that I don't have to constantly fill my pockets with everything and worry about pocket space and storage space. And I love that I have this log of used items, so I can just go back to that and use the same items over and over again, because that's what I tend to do anyway. So I do love that, and it's unlimited. It's so nice. The only downside really for me is just having to go back if I want to change out a code or get a new code. I have to go back to my island, download it, come back to the slumber island, and then bring it over. So that part is a little bit annoying, because then you lose your log of used items. But we are pretty much finished with the build here. So thank you so much for watching. I will do a final walkthrough with my helper in just a moment, but I appreciate you so much. And we are finished, and I have my helper here.
Hello.
And I showed him the purple island. Did you like it?
I did.
All right, so you ready to see pink?
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out the controls.
Has it really been that many days?
Yeah, it has, actually.
So we have the orchid mantis and the agrius butterfly. You see it right here? It's camouflage, isn't it?
Where is it?
On the ground. Oh yeah, you're just playing. I knew that. Okay. So we have a teddy bear picnic on this side.
Where's the butterfly?
There's some around.
Right.
And then I did this with this beach. What do you think of this? Like a...
It's amazing.
I forgot what those are called. Maypole? Maypole. I think.
What?
Maypole. Here's the butterfly.
Ooh, that's pretty.
And the orchid mantis. I put like a bunch of them over here. It's like a flower field with orchid mantis. And then, yeah, pergola and a garden wagon back here. No seat back here, but there is, I think, on the other side. So.
Yippee!
So you like the pink?
Yes.
He chose his little heart boppers.
I did.
So over here
I'm stuck.
on this side, we have my house, incline going up, little seating area here. Yes. And a sunken heart waterfall.
Whoa.
Whoa.
How do you get over there?
There's a little walkway here.
Oh, there we go.
It's a little scooch core, but not bad.
Yeah.
Just scooch. There you go. Gotta scooch. And then down here,
I saw it.
a bench. And I put the gazebo on the beach instead of the rock because I would have had to put it way over here.
Excuse you.
I'm coming. Oh, you gotta scoot over. You're taking up too much room.
It's not letting me scoot over.
Yeah, you have to get up and then sit back down. I don't know why it does that, but his favorite thing. Making the face. But yeah, did a gazebo here and then walk down this way. We get to another little seating area. Ta-da!
We did that in like scene.
We did! So you like it?
Yes.
We did pink. Alright, let's say bye here.
Okay.
Hope that you guys enjoyed. Not sure what's coming next. Maybe a new island, maybe some more Slumber Islands. We'll have to see. Alright, you ready to say bye?
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Where are you going?